In the words of FIFA President Gianni Infantino, today I feel gay. Today I feel disabled. Today I feel like a woman too, not to be confused with the Shania Twain song. And today I feel like a Kiwi. Yes, New Zealand have done it. They've won the impossible World Cup. They've bowled India out for 46 and they put the age-old question to bed of, are New Zealand good? We know that no one is that nice. We know that you can't trust a 10 out of 10 person, and we know that there have to be skeletons in the closet, but have they just embarked upon the skeleton century just as Sir Edmund Hillary scaled the highest of heights this planet has to offer? What is next for our Kiwi brethren? And why does it feel like the answer to that is an absolute Bunsen burner in the second test and recognition from the All Blacks for the women? In other confusing news for Australians, Joe Root is on an absolute heater. Not seen since Adam Sandler released Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, The Wedding Singer, The Waterboy, and Big Daddy in a 4-year run. Coincidentally, those are all names of his teammates at the moment. But can Root actually catch Sachin? We break it down in data and, more importantly, feelings and vibes. There's a good old-fashioned bat-off ahead of the Australian summer as we wind down into the warmer days and longer nights with news of trade periods and Mad Mondays. But the question on everyone's lips really is, how tall will Cam Green be after his back surgery? Do what you always do, get what you always get, or a brand new shiny thing from New South Wales. We confirm your prejudices. One of our favourite ever guests, Brad Hodge, is on the show to fire us up for the summer, perhaps reliving tales of launching clubbies into the car park while wearing an IPL lid, and tell us which are good 6-hitting grounds. There's live shows, Patreon, Cricket et al., Wasted Saturdays, AskTGC to come. This is your summer. This is our summer. I can feel the sunscreen getting into my eyes. Pezza, Dad's still not coming to watch me play. We are back, baby.
Oh, hell yeah, he goes. Fuck, I'm fired up after that.
Summer.
That's nice.
Where have we been? What have we been doing? More of that to come.
Yeah.
But we did release a little taster, a little teaser, a little FYI about what we're going to be doing for the summer. Some people listened, others didn't. Most didn't. But just a shout off straight off the top that live shows are back this summer, as we are back indeed. We announced live shows before we actually came back ourselves to do the thing that we do. But all tickets are available at greycricketer.com. I'm going to start with the forum, Pezza, which is January 8th with our special guest, Aaron Finch. There are about 30 tickets available for that show. So if you listen to this right now and you want to come along to see us live at the forum, there in Melbourne, here in Melbourne, with our dear friend Finchy, then stop this show and do it right now, greycricketer.com. And then we'll start from the top. 28th November at the Gov in Adelaide, special guest Greg Blewett. 4th of December.
South Australia's own.
Oh, yes. Saka, a redback.
There'll be some Adelaide yarns there, I'd imagine. And I for one, cannot wait to clap eyes on it in the flesh.
Yeah.
Because I've always found him an alluring, handsome man, Greg Blewett.
Hot as fuck.
And I can only imagine the kind of kilometres it's done. I just mean in life experience.
Right.
In and around Adelaide in, the peak period of Australian cricket.
Yeah. When things were good.
I just feel like with Greg Blewett, and you see him knocking around the commentary box, I wouldn't say he's as high a profile commentator as some of his, colleagues. But he gets things done. But I just feel like every time you see him in the commentary box, like there's always a glint in the eye from the others when they come to talk to Bluey. And I just think Bluey at the Gov in that situation are ingredients worth investing in. That's all I'm saying.
Ingredients worth investing in.
GreyCricketer.com.
That show, that's the first one of the tour. It's 28th November at the Gov in Adelaide, greycricketer.com. Okay, 4th of December at the Astor Theatre in Perth. Special guests Marcus Stoinis and Ashton Agar, both on stage, both with TGC, all in Perth. It's all happening, greycricketer.com for your tickets there. Astor Theatre, looking forward to that one.
Lift the hood.
WA have always got around us. They've always got around TGC.
Well, not the first year we did it.
No, that was,
We're in some kind of lecture theatre at the Wacker.
And Ed Cowan, our special guest that night, said, do we need these microphones? Do we really need the microphones?
That's right.
And he got the biggest laugh of the night.
Yeah.
But look at us now.
Yeah. Anyway, lifting the hood on that one, Stoinis and Agar are very happy to appear as a double act. And I don't think Stoinis would mind me saying this. He just asked that he be paid 5 cents more than Agar just to let him know. So.
Right, okay. Well, that's going to come out of the budget.
Oh.
5 cents. Okay, and this is when it starts to get a little hot. Now, no disrespect to Bluey, the original Bluey, by the way, Storian and Agar. But here we go.
Good shout on that.
18th December, Tivoli Theatre in Brisbane. Special guest, Matthew Hayden. Matthew Hayden will be joining us on stage. I just can't wait to see the shoulders on it. Oh. The back. Is the Akubra going to be there? I'm not sure what he's bringing, but he's bringing energy. And he's bringing fans. He's putting bums on seats. Tivoli Theatre, 18th December. That's a Wednesday. Before your Christmas, if that's what you celebrate. Okay, and then, look, it's just one of the biggest shows we've ever done. That's just a fact. Ricky Ponting has joined us on stage twice before. Once in Melbourne, where it was one of the hottest receptions ever, a standing ovation, which went on for a bit too long for my personal taste. And
him or Shastri in New York. That was a hot reception.
Yeah, Shastri was hot.
Shastri was more like everyone's happy that the two white guys have stopped talking.
Yeah. Now the show starts.
Yeah, the show begins.
Yeah.
Ponting was, you could feel like steam rising in like the low ceilings of the corner hotel, which has been home to some great gigs.
Yes, it has been. And the darts. And then we had him in London. Sorry, I'm talking about London now. We had him there as well. But this time he's going to be in Sydney. He's going to be at the Enmore Theatre on Thursday, 2nd of January. Enmore Theatre, special guest Ricky Ponting.
Night before your SCG.
It's a night before, well, and I think it's how it works out. It's the day after New Year's Day.
Well done. That's how that works out.
And it's the day before New Year's Eve. Yeah,
but Cricket Australia wants Test matches to become events like the races, like the Everest.
Yes.
And stuff like that. And so add this into your event calendar, punter. Enmore.
That's going to go. That is going to go. So there you go. And then, of course, Finchy at the Forum on January 8th. So greatcricketer.com. You can find all through our socials the links. If you go to Instagram, for instance, there's a link tree there. You can get tickets directly through that link. And we'll probably post some Instagram stories today if that's how you want to do it and, make it even easier for you. But these tickets are going to be hot. They're going to run fast. Now, especially now that the show is back. And as I said before, Melbourne has 30 tickets left to sell. So that is that. Pez, whilst we have been away, we have been recording every single week to our subscribers, to our customers, to our ticket holders, the shareholders, and the pay pigs.
Yep.
At patreon.com/Great Cricket. They've been getting AskTGC Fridays every single Friday. So whilst, of course, we have either been dead, according to some commenters.
A lot of people on YouTube, I think particularly coming out of South Asia, will be relieved to see that we're not indeed dead, because it was suggested that we weren't posting because we were deceased.
Yes.
And that was possibly the only reason why we weren't posting. So we're here. We're good to go.
I'm actually a hologram, so
we may
something did happen.
Maybe did.
Anyway, if you want to get behind TGC, of course, our patrons had pre-sale tickets, pre-sale access to those tickets the day before they went on sale, so they've got the best seats in the house. They've been getting behind TGC. They've been keeping the lights on here in this here operation for many years, to be fair, actually since about COVID. And there's a great little community there.
They'll enjoy that.
Just to downgrade them. Apologies to that, but that's the relationship with the stakeholder and the shareholder.
And the pay pig.
And Pez, shout out to Cricket et al.
Cricket et al. So people may have heard this, but TGC is in partnership with the best writing duo this summer, Gideon Haig and Pete Lawler, with Cricket et al. This is they're going to be on the road bringing you every single day of the test matches of the Border Gavaskar Trophy, and publishing most days in between. This is independent print media. I write every so often with it, but we're helping to power it because it's really cool to read both of those guys without having to pay the great man anymore.
Yeah.
The big man.
So,
God, that is. We're going to a paid subscription model from November 1. So if you want to check it out first before you commit to this premium, high quality writing, I guess it just adds another extremity to listening to our moronic, visceral kind of narration of the summer. Mm-hmm. Head to cricketetal.com. You're going to see pieces on, you're going to see writing, that is, on Sam Konstas. Pete Lawler broke the Cam Green injury story on Cricket et al. Recently. Gideon has written on the parlous state of cricket journalism. Pete had a great yarn on some beef he had with Buff Lehman a couple of years ago, and revealing sources, the state of club cricket. Cricketetal.com, get around it, and we'll get around you.
TGC will tell you how to feel. Cricket et al. will tell you how to think. Patreon will tell you how to jelk.
The Holy Trinity. The Holy Trinity.
Okay, last scene.
merch.
Last scene, because I know people are saying, just tell me what happened in the cricket.
No, we will.
Wasted Saturdays is back this summer.
Yeah.
We need your clips via DM. If anyone watched 5 or 6 episodes we put together last summer of Wasted Saturdays, it's your clips from your absolute garbage cricket or very good cricket.
Very good cricket.
Very good cricket. It's actually very good standard this year. We need your clips and we will celebrate the highs, the lows, the tragedy, the trauma, the ups, mostly the downs. Send us your clips. Everything's clipped up these days. You can't hide no more in the frog box era, and that's the era we are in, also being part of the skeleton century. So send them in. That show's going to start this week, I think it might be. Just slipped into Brad Hodge there for a second.
Yeah, Hodgie.
Looking forward to talking to Hodgie, of course, later in the show. But Wasted Saturdays are back. Is back, I guess.
We'll never know.
We need your clips. Send them in via DM, and let's get this show rolling. Pez, what's happened since we last convened? When was that? The Olympics, I suppose.
If Brad Hodge isn't enough for you either, he goes, by the way.
Yeah. There's a sweet treat.
About a month or so ago, we had the pleasure of speaking to most of the men and women who play for Australia.
Yep.
And if you go to the 7+ Cricket Hub, you're going to see TGC with at least 20 or 30-minute conversation with each of, at the moment, Heady, Marnus, Stark and Healy together, Hoff and Gaz, Pez, Kingy, Phoebe Litchfield, Shooter, Ash Gardner, Grace Harris, about 20 to 30 minutes each. And there's more to come after that as well. So that's on 7+. And if you didn't hear it first time as well, we're going to be on Grandstand Radio this test summer as well.
TGC Takeover.
TGC Takeover.
Day 2, it'll be lunchtime.
Lunchtime, day 2, every test. TGC takes over the airwaves, as I've said before, and I'll say again, McGilvray, Maxwell, Trent Copeland, and now TGC, some of the greats who have been across the airwaves.
All clubbies. All of them clubbies in their own right. So do you want to wrap up and everything that's been going on?
Look, before we get into what's actually going on in the cricket right now. Right now. There's some months have happened. Things have happened in the game. Months have happened. And there's a piece of news. No, look, I think the overall theme, he goes, is that, and this applies to now, is that the winds of change are blowing in cricket, and I don't just mean future of cricket stuff, which I think is starting to bore people a little bit. We will spend this summer with our heads in the sand about that, having the summer that we want to have on our fucking terms.
It's going to be a good summer.
It's going to be on our terms. We will roll out the red carpet for our overlords and receive money in return, preferably in US dollars, but
in the one colour.
But I do sense, I don't know about you, he goes, that the community at large is starting to zest for the scent of youthful, fresh blood. Okay.
Yeah.
About a month or so ago, we awoke to news, let's say on I don't know what your poison is. Yours might be Fox Sports, you know what I mean? Where you see words like amid and looms and things like that in the headline. Yeah. But the headline here was, quote, "I love to hit them. Aussies crushed in historic century blitz by a 13-year-old Indian prodigy."
Fuck me.
We saw this ahead of the summer. I mean, India's not here yet. The summer hasn't really kicked off until India arrives and start complaining about the sandwiches and that.
Boxing Day test, that's when it starts.
But the story was that, Vaibhav Suravanshi, 13-year-old Indian player in their under-19s team, and we hear a lot about the increase in the quality and the quantity of the production line.
Yes.
Of it, like parts of a car. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
really, Henry Ford stuff.
General Motors relocating.
That's right. Horses, carts, cars, Henry Ford.
Cabs.
India.
Next cabs.
That's right. Off ranks. Now mixing that up a bit there. So he's 13 and he's taken down Australia's best and brightest, best in class under-19s team with a ton from 60 balls. And his quote is, "I love to hit them."
Yeah.
Referring to cricket balls.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, I'm just, not that you and I have discussed this, but there's only one way to respond to that as an Australian.
Right.
13-year-old hitting 100 against us off 60 pills, which is...
He's not 13, mate.
Exactly. And then someone had to say it.
Okay. That's how we treat
information exchange.
Young excellence.
I don't know his age. I suspect he is 13. But as an Australian, it's also my right to say he's not 13.
Yeah.
All right? As opposed to, and not to be confused with, well done, he's 13, which is Neville Southall.
Talking to Michael Owen.
Okay?
Yeah.
But not to be outdone, I think the community within Australia is starting, as I say, to like crave some fresh blood because we have an aging team ourselves.
Creaking
in
bones,
the men's,
arthritic
that is,
joints.
Yeah. And I just noticed since then, and people may have forgot this already, it was a very important ODI series between Australia and England. They might have played T20s too. I think
Every ball
did.
for me, mate.
Yeah,
Every ball.
I think Australia won, and
Yay.
and so not to be outdone, Bailey plonked Marley Beardman on that plane to head over. So I think there's about 30 guys that could have replaced the increasing number of injured Australian quicks that no one's really drawing a pattern between that at the moment, but everyone's injured. But it was a shrewd selection, Marley Beardman, because it allowed a conversation about the under-19s team that he'd been part of.
Yeah. Which
You
won?
understand?
Which won the World Cup
with
against
Vidler
India?
and another guy, and we got to see pictures of the three of them taken from low to high. I don't know what angle that is. I'm not a photography expert, but like, so they actually look taller, like a Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
And then that allowed comparisons with like previously good under-19s generation. So the Beardman selection wasn't necessarily about Beardman, but congratulations to the young man.
Yeah.
It was about the question of, have we got a new generation coming through?
What's next?
You know, like the Hazelwood Pattinson stuff. Can't wait for you guys to play together. You know what I mean? So that was shrewd from Australia, like sort of trying to answer back to a 13-year-old dusting us, dusting our men.
Yeah. It feels like very much like a Netflix series where like the screen comes up after you've been watching for a long period of time saying, are you still watching? And it's like, who's playing at the moment? Give me some fresh new blood.
Exactly. Blood.
Fresh.
Sam Elliott's a young guy, took 7 for Victoria. It was a 1-day record in that cup that they're trying to name. And and the main questions after his 7 for was his dad wasn't there. You know, where was his dad?
Yes.
Where's dad?
Yes.
So again, youthful themes and needs, and then and we will get to the Sam Konstas stuff as well, which is just that's just fresh blood.
Well,
large.
actually,
I mean,
titillates.
I'll be the first to say it. I suspect he's already in. I mean, I think he's batting right now. We're actually, as this goes to air, people will know, you know, where he's at.
We're actually recording this in the New South Wales dressing rooms.
But yeah, they want him back. We'll get onto that. What else has happened? The game continues to reorganise around Indian capital. The 100, the ECB is selling off the 100, putting up 49%, and said the counties can sell the rest. The counties will give you 51%. You can decide. And then GMR, who half owns Delhi, says, "Well, I'll just buy the county." Cheers. So Hampshire's gone to that, and we will have that flag planted in the Lord's Long Room soon, and probably rightly so if you read your history.
For me though, Smith at 4, that's going to be good. A good summer.
I also noticed just recently, overnight, there's like a lot going on in the world, but it's good to see the grade prism is starting to take hold. This is from the US presidential campaign trail overnight.
But when he took showers with the other pros, they came out of there, they said, "Oh my God, that's unbelievable."
So that's a Trumpy there talking about Arnold Palmer, but he's obviously pivoting to tub stuff.
Yes. At that time.
And who among us doesn't when we're just looking for a little bump in the polls, you know?
Well, after Mark Taylor had a great Olympics himself, tubs, you know, who wouldn't pivot to tubs?
So, hey, mate, that's my rap of the last couple of months.
That's what's been happening.
Joe Root said some stuff about Coldplay. All good.
Hey, the Kiwis are, aren't they? Skeleton Century. What?
Yeah.
It's got to be one of the great 48 hours.
Yeah, October 20. Red Letter Day.
Red Letter Day.
Red
October
Letter
20, they're calling it. Because it's just the date.
Yep.
America's Cup. Rachin Ravindra. You know, Amelia Kerr and the girls.
Yep.
Getting it done. I mean, pretty amazing for the Kiwis. You know, does this mean they're good? I mean, New Zealand
I don't know.
good?
Well, it'll be interesting to see how this the news settles in Australia. Even like when we were in our pre-production meeting, a highly professional thing that we do, we thought it right to kick off with the New Zealand women winning the World Cup. But as you say it, and I hear it and receive it as an Australian, I have a visceral desire to just play it down and to get into like dissonance mode. We were going to try and get Laura McGoldrick on the show. I'm like, it'll be too late in the UAE or early.
She'll be circuiting 100% right now. She'll be the circuit, and good luck to her.
No, I mean, it's fantastic achievement, and we will discuss how we'll title the Royal Commission into the Australian women's team.
Yes.
Who beat the Kiwis 3-0 in the series leading up, then they beat them in the round games themselves, roundly, but didn't get the chocolates this time around.
Australia have a one. Now, this is me celebrating New Zealand's achievement in the Women's World Cup by, acknowledging that Australia have many opportunities to pretend it didn't happen and to write it off completely because,
Absolutely.
In the warm-up game, in the 8 T20s New Zealand played before, they lost 5-0 to England in England, 3-0 to Australia in Australia. They beat South Africa in one of their warm-up games before the World Cup. Then they lost to England again. Then they lost to us. So it's almost like, in World Cups in the UAE.
So they lost 10 from 11.
Yeah, in World Cups in the UAE, maybe they don't count, except for when the Australian men won there.
Or just on.
Or Australia were the best team.
They were playing irrepressible cricket.
Yeah, it's changed the game, is what many people were saying at the time.
Batting when the dew came in.
And also, it was a tough time for us to watch, so yeah, did it happen. Yeah. Now, unfortunately for the women, we expect them to win every game, so it is one of the worst moments in Australian sporting history. But for New Zealanders, the pride they must feel right now, just like they peaked at the right time. They had the losses they needed to have, and they ran it perfectly.
Yep.
And now
they got South Africa in the final.
And they got South Africa in the final.
Which is
that is just to kiss from the heavens. That is right in the lips. And what about and then in Bengaluru, India win the toss. We'll have a bat, thanks.
Yeah.
What? All out 46.
We'll come to that.
Yeah, we will come to that. Anyway, well done to the Kiwis. Fantastic stuff. And, of course, the America's Cup, one of the oldest sporting events in the world. So, there's that.
Well, we got a day off, didn't we, in the early 80s for
Fucking hope we did.
something like that. Yeah.
My dad was there for that.
Sailing?
No.
Just off the side.
He had a work trip.
Yeah, he's in a dinghy.
All right, let's talk.
What do you mean he was at it? Like he was alive in the
he
country?
used to work for a company that was sponsoring the America's Cup.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, like getting a Higo's dad reference at this, that's his commitment to how big this summer's going to be. That's hot. Fuck, I'm pumped up now.
Yeah, he used to work for Hanamix in advertising. And I think they were sponsoring the America's Cup. There used to be in our house, there used to be like memorabilia of America's Cup. Oh. Like it was a big fucking frame. In my head, it's big.
To use a Fox sports nomenclature, it's loomed large.
It has loomed large,
and loomed.
Yeah.
The America's Cup.
Amid childhood.
America's Cup looms large amid Higo's childhood memories. Dad stunned as Higo's. Sorry.
Mum left rocked after. Yeah.
Mum rocked as son announces job as podcaster. Podcasting blitz. Sorry.
Fuck. Click, click, click. Yeah. I'm in. Tell her for a reason. All right. All right. Let's talk about Australia, Pez.
Okay, all right.
Let's talk about Australia.
We're in.
Hey, Cameron Green's gone for the summer.
Broken by Pete Lawler Cricket Hotel, by the way.
I think what has been sort of missed in the story, because we're talking about who's going to bat where, who's in. I don't think what's actually covered is how big a loss it is of that player not playing in the games. If you talk about like loads, it's going to mean Mitch Marsh hasn't bowled spells for ages, and he can't. So he's just not going to bowl. He's not going to bowl 6, 8, 10 overs in an innings. He's just not going to do that. He might have 3 or 4 innings in him, maybe, but he's just not fit enough to bowl. I mean, that's just been the case for a while. So you're sort of losing an all-rounder there, like a proper all-rounder, because Cameron Green has been bowling economically. And also there'd be a case, I'm not saying it's right, I'm just saying you can make a case that Cameron Green is actually the best batter in the Australian team at the moment. I mean, if you go off the last game in New Zealand, was it the last game? Yeah, he made 174 against New Zealand to win the game for Australia. Alex Carey.
I think
that was in the first test.
The first test. Carey's the second.
Thank you. First test, you're right. We've been waiting for a while for like a breakout summer. Like that probably hasn't happened. He's just been a very consistent performer, Cameron Green. But there is a case. He's now got his position at 4 because Smith moved to opening. He's got the spot that he probably deserves. And I think there is a case that he could well have been.
But how can Cam Green break out when, like, of a standard when that standard is to average 100 with the bat and take 5 for every
Well, yeah,
go. You'll never
that's right.
break out.
That's
no,
right.
I agree. And like, and the other thing I think is disappointing about Cam Green missing the summer is, if you had a look at it, with the ODI series or the T20 series, I just felt that he had the air of somebody about him coming into his own, like a new phase. His face looked chiseled.
Yeah.
You see that, when you're looking back on players in their highlight reels from when they're younger, just a little bit of puppy fat.
Just the puppy fat.
But the puppy fat had gone.
Yeah.
It looked like a new, like a lean, mean Cameron Green. Jowls no more. Well, that really excited. That titillated the nation. Just be like, have a look at the the chiseled nature of the jaw.
I'm getting access to the throat now with me eyes.
But I got to say, like, I'm trying to think optimistically about it, right? Like, Cam Green's going to be out for a undetermined period of time. People are saying 6 months. I mean, see, one thing missing from the reportage is that nobody asked RCB when he'll be back. No,
Yeah.
'cause I think that's probably what matters most. But, I mean, how... Like, he's out, right? But how... Like, Cam Green's always been an idea,
Yeah.
right? Wonderful player, like, no doubt about it. But
Buckets, big, gully.
The idea of it is far more titillating than the actual experience of it. I feel sorry for him. He can't ever live up to what the idea of it is, even though he's a wonderful player.
He's Yao Ming.
How mouthwatering will he seem in his own absence? Like... People forget that. Like, is there a player whose reputation could grow more in his absence, especially if Australia struggles this summer, as they might? Like, he will become over 2 meters in his absence.
Yes.
We'll have articles, and there should be articles, whether they're true or not, saying that state-of-the-art sports science will add another 5 to 10 Ks to his bowling speed when he returns. So he'll be bowling in the 150s. He'll be over 2 meters tall, and we'll be expecting him to average 50 when he comes back to rescue the Australian side. He may actually improve his credentials as captain.
Yeah.
Especially if Marnus keeps doing the shit he's been doing in the Shield.
Fuck me. Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's deeply disappointing that he's out for the summer.
Right.
But let's not ignore how much joy we're going to get from imagining what it's going to be like.
Oh, that's
now,
good.
some might say he's just a man coming back from a back injury and we hope he recovers well. That's a waste of time.
No. How did he get the injury? Arnold Palmer. Enough said.
Exactly. But, but what that means, the selection conjecture has meant we're now starting to ask questions about, who has the corner office in the Australian team? Who gets accommodated most?
Yeah.
Does Smith have bias remorse? Who was going to open the batting?
We talk about like the how important do you think the summer is? I guess important is a broad term because I think for most Australians, I'll say every single Australian that's ever lived, the Ashes is the biggest thing, and it remains the biggest thing. The Test series against India are becoming bigger because of the great rivalries that have been built over the last probably 30 years or so. But you think about what happened when India won here for the first time in 2019. That we sort of excused that away with no Warner and Smith and how low the Australian team was, and India played well and they deserved to win the series, and they did win the series. But it was always kind of excused and like, fuck, Australia's at its lowest ebb possibly in a century. And then when India won here last time. When you think about that, like that is one of the greatest achievements in Test cricket history. What India achieved, I'm not even being superfluous with that analogy. I don't think or over the top. I mean, the players that they were missing against the current Australian side, which is I mean, we've been calling it. It's one of the best sides that Australia's ever had, and especially in our lifetime, it's probably the second best side we've ever had. And what India did to win that series is actually. The more time that passes, the less I can understand it, how it happens. Like, because the players that India had on the park have barely played Test cricket again. And India coming this time are way stronger than what they were before. I think the Indian team that's coming here this summer is probably just about as good a team that I can think coming here. Obviously, England won here in 2010-11. They smashed Australia. That was a really, really good team. South Africa had a really good team when they won the silver lollipop for the World Test Championship before it was called that.
Memorably.
They had a really good team there as well. And South Africa always kind of played well in Australia, and Australia played well in South Africa for a period of time there. But
Shelbyville.
Shelbyville stuff, exactly. So, but I think India coming here this time, it's like it is one of the most exciting, well-rounded, experienced, complete sides that have also won in Australia. They've got players that have, so like, and it's coming against Australia that now have zero excuses. Okay, Cameron Green's going to miss, and that's, as we just said, a huge miss. But I think about how important it is for this team. If Australia lose again, it's going to be like, I think it's going to bring about a change of, like we're going to lose a lot of players if that happens. Like there's guys that are playing for their spots. I mean, every time you play for Australia, you're playing for your spot. But Khawaja's 38. Smith's decline is noticeable. I'm not saying he should be dropped. I'm just saying like it is noticeable. And if he has a bad series, there's going to be more questions asked. Mitch Marsh is sort of living precariously as well. He even said himself that like during the New Zealand series where he had failed before, that he felt like he was playing for his spot. Then he won the game in that last Test match against New Zealand with Alex Carey. Yeah, the bowlers are the bowlers. I think that they're okay. But and then this batting spot that's opened up the top here is going to be. It's either going to be Konstas, Bancroft, or Harris. Matt Renshaw has not been picked in the Australia A game. And look, you got some outsiders like Webster and Nisa, but I just don't see how that works in the makeup of the side. So, like, what I'm saying is, I think there's fragility here, and like if Australia lose this series, I don't think their legacy is going to be affected per se. But it's a massive series. It's massive.
Oh, mate, I think that's really well said. I think Australia is looking creaky because they're, the team has been permitted to like remain the same ultimately because they have continued to win just about, but they have had 10 months off playing cricket, just about, or playing Test cricket, just about.
Right.
And it's hard, to avoid looking at the ages of some of them, and when you put it in the historical context of previous times when great Australian teams have had multiple players retire at the same time, it usually that usually precipitates a really gloomy period. So it happened with Marsh and Lilly Chappell, where they didn't win like 4 series in a row. After that, it was
Right.
10 really difficult years. You had Warren, McGrath, Langer on that same day. A couple of the other guys fell off soon after, and Australia's basically wobbled until this team's come through.
Yeah.
And I think the same concerns are really valid. It's okay to ask questions of Bailey and Doddermate and those guys of like, well, what what's planned for the future? Because it's no insult to say like, Khawaja's 38, Smith's 35. Smith's averaged 42 to 44 this decade, which is not nothing, but it's not savant stuff. It's the quicks are, at least Hazelwood and Stark are, you're just going to hear the phrase closer to the end than the beginning 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And so there is a real possibility that a lot of them go at the same time. Now, confounding or complicating that is that like the India series and then England next year, their series to pick the best teams for now. They must be one.
Yeah.
Lest the commission start stuff like that.
Yep.
I think it brings into focus questions like, Warner being permitted to play 3 tests last summer, and could you have got more tests into a new opener? But on the other hand, you might say like maybe the sad, brutal truth is that the selectors don't particularly rate the next cabs off the rank, which is what invites that question about the young, fresh blood coming in. And then there's all this, I just wonder if you see this, the saying it's like, the last embers of Rome in this team. But like Steve Smith, the mechanics of Smith going back to 4, right, where it's been conceded by Cummins and overnight McDonald and Bailey that he was going back to 4 irrespective of Cameron Green's injury.
Right.
Smith was going to bat 4 this summer even if Green was fit.
Right.
Begs the question who was going to open. They'll never answer that now because Green's injured. That side of it is lucky for them, I suppose.
Yeah.
But Smith hasn't been like a savant this decade, much as he may again, right? But him going back to 4, there's still just a certain safety to it, isn't there? It's like it restores a certain feng shui to the order.
Yeah.
Camo and that are saying like, it's the 6 best bats. It doesn't matter where they bat. It does in Australian aesthetic subconscious.
Of course it does. Yeah.
Where my couch sits matters. You know what I mean? It's called feng shui.
Yeah.
And like, but they've decided to accommodate Smith. You know, he's it's interesting that they've decided to do that. I mean, Smith's 35, he's averaging 40 odd this decade. It's, you know, I think people have picked up that, like, it's funny how many comments from the current team, one, have been made in public about where Smith should bat, but then two, how many of them have been framed as though it's in the team's interest. So like Khawaja going like, you know, I'm just thinking about the team. I just think Smith should be good at, Smith would be good at 4. And then even Smith himself saying like, oh, look, I'm easy. Marnus and Usman want me back there. You know, I'm doing it for them, you know, before Cummins like confirms that Smith requested it himself.
Yeah.
So like, it's just interesting a couple of those dynamics happening with the team as well. Like, you know, how would like Travis Head have felt about Khawaja going like, yeah, I think Heady should open the batting. I'll go, cheers, all good.
Yeah.
I think self-interest and team interest can coexist, but like you just have to pick whose self-interest matters most. And it seems in this team that Smith's still top dog.
It's really interesting because Babar Azam was dropped for Pakistan somewhat, I would say very surprisingly. Babar Azam was dropped for the second test match in Multan there against England.
They have a 21-person selection panel, to be fair.
Yeah, look, basket case does come to mind when you think about what's going on there at the moment. But look at Babar Azam's numbers in his career. He averages 43, 900s in 55 tests. Now, that is under what I perceived him to be, because you think about Babar Azam being such a talented and gifted and beautiful player. Beautiful, not necessarily, because I'm just talking about his raw numbers. But like, yeah, you know, like he's been dropped from the side and his numbers are unders, you know? And like it's, but at the same time, you know, when the opposition gets a wicket and then they have that roar of energy lifted up and it's 2 down on the board and the numbers are correctly, you know, in sequential order in the correct manner because it's Australia. So it's 2 for 115, right?
Yes.
And then who walks the crease? Steve Smith. Oh, no problem. I can go back to sleep now.
Shui.
The turkey on me chest.
Doritos dust settling on my high BMI body.
No problem. Now, look, is it an issue that he seems to be figured out for the last sort of 5 years? Actually, since he touched God in 2019.
And he did.
He's just been figured out by the likes of Neil Wagner. Ashwin's got him a couple of times.
Yeah.
So, you know, there seems to be many ways to dismiss the genius that once was 5 years ago, but he did give us genius. He did touch God. Cameron Green hasn't touched God yet, so you don't feel the same safety when he came to the crease, although it is very big.
What did you so what was Babar Azam's century?
9.
9 in how many?
55.
So, you know, like Smith's made 6 test hundreds in his last 41 tests.
Okay.
You know, just I mean, no one ever wants to be the person to write somebody off, and I won't either. It's just a number.
Well, Pezza, you never write off a champion.
Indeed. And then I suppose, I don't know if this works here. He goes, this is what I think leads into discussions about the fresh blood that we may want, right? Now that...
well, it depends which state it's from, but yeah.
We all know what state we want it to be from. Some states, most states refuse to admit the state that they want it from. That's my view. I'm just actually writing now. I mean, this is going to be annoying to people. So, okay. Konstas is batting right now for New South Wales.
And you got the numbers on the screen, but how did it look?
Exactly. I have said before that the nation does refuse to... acknowledge the safety of fresh New South Wales produce when it comes. Look, let's be honest. It's been a little while for New South Wales. And like, here's the thing, right? In the last week or so, I don't know how Sam will go today. I've never met him, but I'll call him Sam.
Yeah.
The New South Wales, like the cabal of ex-New South Wales players are really starting to rev the engines. You know what I mean? Like,
are we talking Hads?
Hads.
Yeah, got Hads.
Willow talk, good. He's saying the things you need to say. So he's said the thing, you know, which is like, he's like, every so often you get a player at the level of, you know, Smith, Warner, Ponting, and Clark.
Oh, invokes some names.
And you just know, and you're like, oh. And then you have other multiple sources saying this. Everyone's known for a long time, this guy's the future of Australian cricket. And you're like, oh, fucking Vince McMahon stuff. And then
got a fleshlight on me.
He got journos privately whispering, and when you watch it, the thing is, it has time. He has time.
Time.
Because I did watch a couple of hours on my laptop of New South Wales, South Australia, and like everyone's like, oh man, he's made 100 on a pancake against South Australia. Just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
There's some good bowlers, and no other New South Wales player could score runs on that. He looked very good compared to them. Lawler writing on Cricket Our Tale that being at the ground, that George Bailey was there watching it, and as Konstas is doing his press conference, Lawler spotted Bailey walking past in a room and just gave him a little thumbs up. The Australian selector's just hovering in the background. Like Konstas is living a young adult fiction dream right now.
Yep.
You get all of his coaches that no one's heard of coming out in the press going like, which is neither here nor there, but in the press saying, he's been scoring hundreds since age 10 or some shit,
Yeah.
saying, there was one quote, where the coach is saying like, oh, we just had a saying, there's death taxes and another Sam Konstas 100. Like the narrative is building around it. You can see like I think he's going to need to do one or two more special things. But here's the thing, right? If he is who people say he is, then he will do that. And so
that's true.
It's becoming self-fulfilling.
Yeah, that's true.
Harry's 26 on a difficult MCG wicket yesterday. There's Will Swatton's written in the Australian just like that he just looked like a dud. It was like, settle down. Like he's fucking facing like...
It's a fucking popgun attack.
For like 2
Abbott
hours.
Stark.
Yeah, on a deck that was difficult to score on. You know? But all of a sudden, the players who are next cabs off the rank who have scored so many hundreds over several years, who have been in and out of the test side, coming back stronger, they just look like a beaten up car compared to the virginal presence of this untouched young Greek deity of Konstas. And you can just feel the winds of change blowing. Konstas.
Whoever it is that opens the batting, I like them and I want them to do well, and I'll be cheering them on. That's how I watch cricket. I cheer on. And like you look at what Bancroft's done, the argument for Bancroft, for instance, would be that he has played the level, and he's gone away and he's figured out his game. Yep. And
that narrative, that particular story.
And he's done the things that one would ask a player to do in his situation. He has done those things. But like in all professional sport, it seems like, and actually any level of cricket specifically, that everyone will know this when there's someone young coming through that's like, I think that's better. And the thing with Bancroft is that he's got the baggage of the failures that like we've seen on television, like we've seen, and like it does look a bit like bat to gully to mid on, like a bit like I can see it nicking and hitting pads and the harsh thing is that you're facing one of the greatest bowlers of the generation in Bumrah. On wickets in Australia that have been for the last 5 years, they've been spicy. They've juiced them up because that's suited the Australian attack. That's how they've been doing it. So it's been seaming around. So you're going to be playing on seaming decks most likely against one of the best bowlers in a generation. And it's like, go and figure it out. So whoever's doing it is going to face one of the toughest challenges you'd just about face in Test cricket. And when I think about Bancroft, like if he plays, and I get the feeling like he might. And I also feel like he might not be in quite the same form that he was a year ago when he might have been picked instead of Warner, perhaps. I just feel like it's just a level below. He might be one of those guys that's like, just what a gun shield player. And like every generation's had him, county cricket, Ranji Trophy, Sheffield Shield, these players exist. And I just reckon it might be him. But I do think he's probably going to get the gig. I think he's going to get the nod in the first test match.
It's not easy for him. It can't be easy when it's like he's being pitted against people who are now mentioning this young guy in the same breath as Ponting.
It isn't done.
The only thing Konstas hasn't had, Alex Malcolm said this to us at Junction last week, he hasn't had the papal blessing of Ponting. He hasn't had Ponting come out yet.
That's right.
For him.
Wow.
But a lot of other people coming out for Konstas at the moment, I think. But and you just think of how many runs a guy has to score and what he has to do and what he's been through and everything.
He's done the thing.
Yeah, but he's done it.
And
like Australia has got this lost generation of 20-year-olds who just haven't played because the 30-year-old guys have just kept their spots and won everything.
Yeah.
And now everyone's just skipping over them and just going like, and it's from New South Wales, and they haven't produced anything for a while. So you get the New South Wales people out there just going, like this kid's it. I mean,
what about his runs for Sutherland though?
Mate, I reckon I think they want to pick him. I think they want to pick him.
I agree with that. Yeah,
and if they don't want to pick him, then bring him in the fourth test when the series is over and he can score like 31, like, Khawaja made 37 that time. Yeah. And the SCG crowd goes, we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And the great success of the summer is, well, we did see a young Sam Konstas come through for the first time.
Yeah.
Look, we did have a comment on the other hand from a patron called Here Noose Noosey saying, just watched a 3-minute highlight video of Konstas' first ton. Looks a bit airy driving through gully and backward point. Not for me. I haven't had sex in 8 months. So there are different. There's a room there's room for a range of views.
Yeah. That was from George Bailey's burner account. Burner accounts have been hot this summer.
Right, you got to be careful about that, especially if they get hacked.
Anyway, when I think about it's not fair. If I'm Bancroft and I like to think that I am sometimes, I just think like it's just not fair. That's not fair. And the answer to that is in professional sport, as someone that played so many tests, it's not fair. But I just look at it and just like I just think it might be just a bit under.
If you're India A and you're bowling to Bancroft, Konstas, and Harris, are you gifting one of them 100?
Shreyas Iyer's bowling some offies.
Oh, maybe.
Open the bowling.
Or just changing the lines and lengths. I mean, this is the sort of that's the sort of stuff I want this summer. Because you mentioned the spicy decks, right? Like, it occurs to, I just feel like our batting has been unders for a couple of years, really. But it stands to reason. Everyone's batting in Australia has been unders for a couple of years because the decks have been juiced. And I think one thing that this entire, summit on the philosophy of Australian selections and who's got the corner office and who gets preferenced and, whatever, and how self-interest rises to the top. And maybe a little bit of entitlement between an old team who's won everything and player power and all this sort of shit. By the way, Cummins just mentioned the other day that he'd like to captain beyond 2020, or beyond like the next year or two. He just dropped that in there.
Well, I think you might have seen Marnus set a straight hit when he was bowling himself. So he thought, well, I'm not playing fucking underneath that.
Yeah.
Love Marnus, but love my Queenslanders. That's ugh.
Like, particularly with Green being out now, you realise that the decks and Australian cricket, like the men's team, has been built around the three quicks and Nathan Lyon for several years. That if we've preferenced the decks anyway, it's been towards helping them succeed. And no one forgets what it's like. Everyone remembers what it's like to go to India, and to play on their decks and the way. I mean, we'll come to it, but. There's already a cacophony of noise in their media saying like, I think we need to make these turn. As you would if you're good at it.
What do you mean make them?
Yeah.
I thought it was natural.
And so like every time I watch Australia and India, I think, oh, can we do something like this when they come out here? Can we give them something? And now we've seen them be roll for 46 on a green top. Are we just juicing the fuck out of these decks? That's the question. Like I'm torn, rip torn, because like I viscerally do want some payback there. Yeah, that's not the best part of myself. There's shame in that, but I want something that where they say this is unfair. I mean, like, yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Yes, yes, it is.
But I also like having a stick.
Yeah, that's interesting.
These are the great dilemmas of life.
Yeah.
But it does feel like, particularly in Green's, with Green's injury, the quicks aren't going to want to risk having 2 days in the dirt, getting injured, loads up, new guys have to come in or whatever. So all roads are leading to spiced up decks and hoping we can fail less.
2-day tests like that one against South Africa at the Gabba that time.
Quicks getting old, need to minimise overs. India hates grass. Maybe India's playing 4D chess with that.
That's what some of the bowlers were saying about Bazwell, weren't they? About we like it because we're not in the field for very long, bowling 70 overs and getting off.
Yeah, it's all it just goes to show it's all about not playing.
That's right.
Cricket is all about not playing.
Just in terms of the other guys there, Nisa's another guy where he's just going to be unlucky. Because I think the side is going to be someone with Khawaja, Marnus Smith, Head, Marsh 6, Carey 7, then the bowlers.
Well, I think Nisa should be very, very close if he's replacing a bowler. And I think I don't think his batting could be really valuable.
Well, I'd imagine Nisa might play if given that Green won't, Green's not bowling, and Marsh won't. So there's gonna be more load on the seamers.
Yeah.
So therefore they might need a break, but they haven't played much. So it's 5 tests in 6 weeks.
Depends how the games
7
go.
weeks.
I mean, if India
go.
pile runs on, in any game, then someone's going to need to have a spell.
It's just that idea, like if Nisa was replacing, it doesn't matter because Smith's batting 4, but like if Nisa got in with the bowlers, then that means that like Marsh is batting 5, Nisa would be 6 and. No, what am I talking about? Nisa's 6, Carey 7, other way around.
Breaking news.
Yeah?
Konstas is out. Breaking news, Konstas out. LBW, Scott Boland, gone the Vicks. The Vickers. How's Harry in that huddle?
He was appealing the loudest.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Konstas LBW Boland.
Well,
the Vic, mate, the Vic's still better.
Against an international player as well. Okay, so he's not up to it. He's not up to it.
Harry's in.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Well done, Harry.
Well done, Harry. Go on, Harry.
Yeah, and I feel like Bo Webster's just had an unbelievable.
Cancel what I said before about Konstas, by the way. He's got to go back to grade cricket.
He's a bit wishy-washy out to off stump, isn't he?
I mean, he's got an issue.
And he falls over, doesn't he? His front pad just goes towards off stump a little bit.
But I think he's playing across.
I thought he was round. I thought he fucking smashed. He's unlucky. Yeah. He's been done there by a biased Victorian umpire. The umpire was Cameron Bancroft.
Well, let's see if Banger's got any run.
It's not fair. I want my guy to play.
This is with the look. I haven't looked into this, and I probably should. But some have suggested that like Nisa play as a potential all rounder.
Yeah,
like and he averages a 34 in Shield or something like that.
Yeah.
But you'd want some. You'd want him to be batting in the top 6, like you'd want him to be showing some middle order, there's some evidence of middle order runs.
If you're batting 6 for Australia, you're probably batting 3 or 4 for your stateside.
You'd think so.
You'd think so. I mean, I think that's what Slug's got against him, Bo Webster. Yeah, like he bats 7, doesn't he? For
6, he's 6. He's an attacking 6.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So, and again, I think like just a bit unders for now. He might get a shot because he's young enough.
I wouldn't say no to it if it's named. I mean, how novel?
Also, buckets at 1. Slug in the tub. Anyway, ODI squad announced for a home series against Pakistan, Pez. That's coming up.
Yeah, not much to say here. It's
looking forward to the ODIs.
No, it can't be. Yeah, no, it's highlight of the summer. But I just caught this ahead of the ODI series against England, which we all remember. But this was. I mean, okay, I just want you to brace yourself for this. This is talking of like fresh blood coming in as well. I mean, let's not forget Jake Fraser-McGurk. All right, okay. If you're a white ball fiend, and most people in cricket
white cake.
The white cake, as he tune into 7+, where he delivers some nomenclature we've never heard before. But how about this on Jake Fraser-McGurk? Here's a quote, someone talking about him. He hits the ball as cleanly and as hard as anyone I think I've ever seen, and he's slightly taller than me. He's not a big bloke, but he's one of those guys who you just get around people and they're just born cricketers. If you look at his physique and shake his hand, he's got big, strong hands, strong forearms, and he's a natural cricketer. In the field as well, he's a gun in the field. Ricky Ponting on Jake Fraser-McGurk. Now, I know the answer to this already, but, would you give your kingdom to be spoken of in that way? Not just by anybody, but by Ricky Ponting as well.
Yes. Yes, I would. My kingdom. It's not a lot, to be fair, but it's something.
I just love that he's coaching him. He's got big, strong hands when you have a look at him.
Mate, if Ricky Ponting's calling you a cricketer's cricketer.
Oh.
Now, what would you prefer? Would you prefer to be, like, kissed on the dick, like Shaun Marsh?
Oh, figuratively.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Or get the papal blessing, white smoke coming out the chimney.
So when you say like kissed on the dick, like Shaun Marsh, you mean like to have the sort of to have the skill level,
the gifts
and the movements and stuff. Whereas, you get the papal blessing of Ponting, who's referring to your physique.
Yeah, so yes, because Marsh had all the gifts and the talent, and the grace and the style, and he was also afforded a lot of opportunity. So he was kissing the dick that way as well. So
I don't think there's been a more coordinated all-round sports person in Australia than Ricky Ponting. Like, it's like, give the thing any stick.
Yeah, any.
Growing up, and
play a bit of VFL, didn't
whatever.
He
would have found his way.
footy.
Yeah, and he's scratch and all, like just everything you need it to be. It's like AB de Villiers. See it in the field. It moves. It's panther-like.
Yeah.
I think when that person is anointing you and going forearms, hands, movement, field. He talks about the way he strikes it. I mean, is there a better blessing than that?
Because Bradman did that when he saw Tendulkar. He's like, that reminds me of me. I bet it did, mate.
Yeah.
Settle down.
So that's my preview of the ODI series.
Brilliant. Looking forward to seeing who's coming out.
Yeah.
And who they play against and where the games are and that. Should be good. Speaking of cricket that didn't happen, the Women's T20 World Cup. And now the headline is Australia lose the World Cup.
Correct.
Now, the good news is at least India or England didn't win it.
Yes.
Gives us the opportunity to say it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Stuart Broad was right. Void the series, etc.
Yeah.
We spoke earlier about World Cups in Dubai don't count unless the men play there in 2021.
That's right.
Any further World Cups that happen doesn't matter.
Got the ski goggles and that.
New Zealand fucking smashed South Africa in the final. They made 158 for 5. Amelia Kerr was player of the match. She made 43 off 38 and took 3 for 24. Not bad. South Africa finished 32 runs short. They were 9 down. They finished on 126. It was a carve-up. South Africa did the business by beating Australia in the semi-final, and you thought, well, here we go. Now, South African cricket's been really good, in a really good moment, obviously making the World Cup final for the T20 World Cup of the men's. I think they made the Women's World Cup. Didn't Australia beat them in the ODI, in the women's as well? So it's a great moment for South African cricket, and they just can't get over the line. I mean, they were heavy favourites after beating Australia in the semis to beat New Zealand to win their first trophy. I think they might have won they won something before, like South Africa. They won the Commonwealth Games or some shit like that, didn't they? It's like some ICC validated thing, but not a real one.
Who?
South Africa.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, yeah, in like the 90s or something. But it doesn't count. So they've never done it.
Oh, in the men's, you mean? They won the Commonwealth Games gold in 98 or some shit.
98, yeah.
Kuala Lumpur. That was a disgrace.
Absolute disgrace.
I don't know how. In that moment for Steve Waugh and the rising near nationalism and expression of Australian patriotism via sport, how Steve Waugh's team didn't conspire to bring home gold from Kuala Lumpur. That is something that has been airbrushed from history.
That has been.
Brad Young was out there.
Yeah.
And they wore those weird gold caps.
I almost went to the SCG the other day to tear down the statue of Tugger.
Are you calling on that?
Tear down the statue.
For the bronze.
What about 98? Kuala Lumpur.
We do. But we do, of course, bow down to our new skeletal overlords.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Amelia Kerr did the damage, 43 and 3 for. She had cramps while she was bowling, so she was hobbling, and which is fantastic because I think if you win a final in any sport, someone needs to take on that aesthetic. In football, it's a headband, it's blood, it's like because it assists with just the sense of endurance.
Ben Stokes is the king of that. He'll be on 15. He's like, he looks stiff.
Good.
The knee's no good.
Yeah.
This is horrible. This is for England.
It's a great...
England.
Glenn Maxwell.
Afghanistan.
Yeah. Exactly. He was not injured.
No.
And that was aesthetic. Brooke Halliday, she upped the ante there as well. 38 from 28. And they were going at 7. South Africa was never in it when they were batting as well. Wolvaart tried to get him going, but always behind the 8 ball. South Africa destroyed Australia the game before at the same ground as well. Australia sort of tried to... Australia tried to... I felt like Australia was like... Australia's not played good cricket in this tournament, really.
They've been feeling terribly. No drop catches.
Yeah, no one's past 50. A couple of good contributions. And even in this game, it was like Mooney and Perry.
Yep.
Maybe Litchfield as well. But it still felt muted, But it was also like... Well, 135's probably unders, but, we'll just beat them with aura.
Australia.
Shooter doing the thing, and we're playing against South Africa. And it was Annika Bosch by name and nature.
Yeah.
Laura Wolvart just smashed.
It was a carver.
It was a carver. And again, we welcome suggestions on what we name the new review and who does it.
It's interesting throughout the entire tournament, Georgia Wareham was promoted multiple times as pinch hitter, and I don't think she got about 5 in the tournament. Just couldn't get going. Like and like some of the decks early on were very difficult to score. They were tacky. They were too paced. There weren't a lot of boundaries in the tournament. Full stop.
And it was the same for both teams. Like, very few teams were playing like fluent cricket.
No, they weren't. They weren't. So I guess Australia were trying to do something, but just didn't get the output that they were looking for. It's just interesting that they picked Georgia Wareham as well. Like just wrist spin. I think it's harder to be successful in the UAE with that. I mean, sorry, in relation to Jess Johnson not being picked, who's been dropped for about a year now, right? But as well, left arm finger spin at the stumps all the time into the deck. Sophie Molyneux had a really good tournament for Australia, and you would have thought she would have like carried it through. But I don't know. I just think it's interesting with JJ not being picked, given that they've now lost and everything must change.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this team is one of the greatest sports teams in the history of global sport.
Yeah,
I'd imagine. I mean, I just bring it back to Steve Waugh. When they started winning and getting bored, they brought Brett Lee in because
something to play with.
There was something to play. A new toy on field and off. New blonde thing.
Yeah,
and they used to. They used to promote Craig McDermott, the bat 3, for a little bit pinch hitting just to get things going.
Go on, Macca.
Go on, Macca. Up you go. Come on, let's get a move on here. I just wondered if the Wareham thing is going to that's going to be the focus because we're like, oh, why'd this happen? And they probably it might have been novel. Maybe they are tired of winning and they'll just find new ways to do it. But like what is strange is with the batting so unders, like they have so much capability with the bat all the way down. I mean, in the game they lose to South Africa, like Annabelle Sutherland and Ash Garner don't get a stick.
Yeah,
you're like, and
Annabelle Sutherland's batting 9 in some games.
Yeah, I mean she could bat 3.
Yeah,
genuinely, and so like I think it's right to ask questions, but I also think you do have to respect some probability in sport of like, you can't win every game all the time, Yeah. And fair play to South Africa.
Missing Healy probably hurt as well.
But gives us an excuse.
Yeah.
Taylor Vlamic as well at the start gets injured.
Man, poor Taylor. Like she's out of the WBBL as well now for the entire summer. So,
but that's excuses as well for us.
Yeah, it makes something. Yeah,
well, we were short.
Man, like she's had knees and shoulders, hasn't she? And like once they go, they can just go at any point, walking down the streets.
Yeah, not even like stressies as a quick like badge of honour
stuff. She's got weak joints. I feel sorry for her.
Anyway, still Royal Commission, I would have thought.
A massive fuck up.
But congrats to New Zealand.
I suppose so.
I guess.
Hey, let's talk about the first test in Bengaluru. All out for 46. Let's have a listen to this.
India have been bowled out for 46. Very difficult to say what kind of a shot was that. New Zealand have been sensational in the field today. This is another beauty, and India have been bowled out for 46.
Oh, yeah. And revs.
46. India have been bowled out for 46. 46. 46. India have been bowled out for 46. 46.
No.
46. 46. India have been bowled out for 46. 46.
I like it. There we go.
Yeah.
46. India have been bowled out for 46.
What was it? 47?
Now, for the people listening or watching, that was a surprise for us, and I'm like, that's going to come back to hurt us. The track.
I'll be staying off YouTube this week. Yeah. So that happens. New Zealand was without Kane Williamson, who had a groin strain from their loss in the second test against Sri Lanka last month, which we all remember, of course. He is expected to be part of the later part of the tour. India won the toss in the game. Matt Henry took 5 for 15. Will O'Rourke 4 for 22. Now there's a rig that you can get behind and stand behind and also set your watch to. New Zealand catching unbelievable. Matt Henry took a great catch to finish the innings. Devon Conway took a good one. Phillips, he got Coley, didn't he? And what's his name?
Doesn't matter.
Bracewell took a screamer as well at Gully when he was on the field. So they were all out 46, but isn't it like just the biggest compliment to this Indian team that I reckon every single person thought India's going to win this? Still,
Mate, I still think they're going to win.
I genuinely had the feelings like, yeah, but both teams bat. Even if New Zealand get 200, India's going to win. Like, there's such a compliment to how good they are.
Mate,
but
absolutely, and also just can't wait to see how much next deck's going to spin.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But again, huge credit to the Skeletons. That is a famous win. We do still think India's going to win because they so rarely lose there. Yes. They are so indomitable at home in those conditions. And they, as you said, in that first innings, they caught remarkably. And I think, it was a perfect storm, and which you need, right, to what is ultimately a demolishing of India at home in the first test. Like, India, sort of led with counter-attack and went to, they wanted to keep moving the game forward, and they still had a couple of guys who performed exceptionally in this game. Sarfraz, 150, which is great because it means he will play in Australia, and everyone wins because he's an outstanding bat, and Australians will sit there and smirk about his rig while, again, the Dorito dust settles on high BMI bodies. Yeah, well, on Sarfraz, he's been working on his fitness, so he's acquired the help of Rishabh Pant's chef. I wouldn't say is Rishabh the right guy. Well, that's what I would have thought, yeah. This is according to Suryakumar Yadav. Okay. That's funny. Yeah. Is that good from Sky? Is there a bit in that? I don't know. Well, I'll read you the quote. Sarfraz is working on his fitness with the Indian team's strength and conditioning coach, and Rishabh has provided him with a chef who is taking care of his food. Well, you've got some background in knowing about this sort of... You can't out-train the diet. No. Like he wasn't Rishabh's driving instructor. Honestly, the rig stuff is garbage for me. Like he and Aussies will do it everywhere. It's mate, you can't be top level left that back. Like, what is he? Fucking $120? It feels so good to say. He's a $120. $120 Sarfraz. There we go. I've done him. There's the entire summer. He does. He'll need to average. Let's say he'll need to average 20 more than everybody else. Oh God, yeah. To be accepted. Yeah. Like he must come to the BGT and average 65 for people to praise him. Because if he averages anything less than that, even if it was between 50 and 65, the commentary will be like, imagine what it could be. You know what I mean? Hey, Sarfraz is mate, he hasn't missed out, has he? He's been a good paddock. Like, it'll be that sort of shit. You have to furrow a brow. On Sky's quotes, he said, the intent is that by the time he reaches Border Gavaskar Trophy in Australia, his body is in a better shape. Oh, me too. Fitness is important in this. Yeah. And the tooth. Your summer body starts now. Fitness is important in this sport. As he gets older, body will change. He is working hard now. He'll be fine in future. Suryakumar told the Indian Express, which, as you know, is my Bible. True. So there you go. Rishabh sorted him out with the chef. Rishabh out 7 times in the 90s. That was an exquisite innings from him. Unbelievable. But not enough. Bad luck. Yeah, all the best. All the best. All the best, guys. They lost 6 of 54 in that innings. Yeah, that's right. When Sarfraz was out, before then, they were 3 for 408. So, go back a bit, actually. So, India all out 46, and New Zealand made 402. It was courtesy of that kid, Charlie.
Daryl Mitchell.
No, not him.
Young kid, Ravindra Rajaja.
Ravindra Rajaja, that's it, yeah. Rajaja. He came in at 4. And he was tough for commentators when Jadeja was bowling to him, got to say. He made 134, Common made 91, and Tim Southey made 65. So Southey and Ratchin put on 137 for the 8th wicket. So all that's quite interesting because it sort of was going a bit that way when New Zealand were looking at scoring sort of 250-ish when Southey came in, but they put on 137 with Ratchin. The young kid. So that was an incredible innings. And then when India came to bat again, so the lead in the first innings was 358, is that right? And then India were 3 for 408. Then Sarfraz got out on 150. Then Rishabh out not long after that for 99. Then India lost 6 for 54. Yeah. So then they were all out for 462, meaning New Zealand would need 110 to win, which they did 2 down. So even in that moment where like they'd been bowled out for 46, they still fucking pushed. There was some little moments there when they got themselves maybe ahead or on par. New Zealand were good enough to win the game, deserved to win the game, of course, but it's tough work to take a game off India in India. Sarfraz.
3 down and ahead by 50 in the second innings and you're India
Yes.
and you're bowling last, you're ahead in that game. They actually got themselves ahead and New Zealand came back into it. Just goes to show what it wasn't just the aberration of the first innings. You know, they really, New Zealand just played well.
New Zealand are good.
I don't really want to go into it.
O'Rourke and Henri picked up 3 more wickets in the Etieri in the second innings. They both had great games, 7 wickets and 8 wickets. I watched every ball of the final innings, and Bumrah was fucking unplayable in the 4th innings. Siraj less effective at the other end, and the spinners came on, and they didn't really do much, to be honest. But
he brushed Ashwin, really. He brought him on like 10 to win.
He didn't bowl that well in the first innings, and the commentary around it seemed to be that he was just a bit off. But, I mean, they picked 3 spinners, Kuldeep, Jadeja, and Ashwin hardly bowled. But he bowled some pump in the first innings, but, you know. So I think Ashwin's done forever, actually. I think that's probably his last game.
Clip that up.
But, mate, Bumrah was unbelievable. I mean, Conway just couldn't get off the crease. It was just, it was peppering the stumps. It was moving both ways. It was probably a bit scary to watch of like what's coming as an Australian. But, you know, New Zealand were good enough to hang in there. And they've won the game in India without Kane Williamson as well. So
Ratchin looks good.
Fuck, he looked good.
He looks imperious.
Proper class. Yep. Anyway, India win the series 2-1. Well done. Pakistan and England. Just catching up on that first test. So obviously England won the first test by an innings of 47 runs after scoring 823 for 7 after Pakistan made 556. Mate,
I mean, that is a real...
the numbers are
That is a
unbelievable.
feather in the cap to the way they play.
100%.
Genuinely. In the sense that I don't think other teams would have the verve and imagination after conceding 550 to win like that. It's like, we'll just make 800 at pace, mate, and knock them over.
They only batted 150 overs. They scored at 5.4 and over.
That is extraordinary. I mean, it is just a garbage deck.
Garbage.
That sort of stuff. And I will use that to, I suppose, erode the achievements of the England team.
Yes.
Your 317s, your 262s. And
in some ways, Australia actually won that game.
Yeah. So in a lot of ways, it doesn't count. But I mean, they did the they made the absolute most of it. That was extraordinary. I mean, the way England play, like those kinds of decks, they are all like that's where they're most threatening. But when it's lifeless,
Well, because they only just recently beat Pakistan 3-0 by taking all those wickets, but batting the same way, just like.
Well, and don't forget they did it without James Anderson being there for the first day because of golf. As well, which was that was very important.
So Joe Root made 262. He put on 454 with Harry Brook, who made 317. So they made 454 in 87 overs, just those two. Unbelievable. Just talking about Joe Root now, because he's in a. It's not even a moment. He's actually figured out batting. He's batting in a way where he's actually figured it out. 35 Test hundreds for Root. That's 6 now on the all-time list. 18 centuries since 2020. He's averaging 51.27, 54 at home, 47 away. That was his highest Test score in this game, 262. So he's on 12,716 Test runs. He's Dravid, Callis, and Ponting are 4th, 3rd, and 2nd all time. All of those are now within 650 runs of him. So he's going to...
He's stacking up numbers.
He's stacking them up. Okay, so Sachin has 3,205 more. I did these numbers myself on the back of a packet. So they might be wrong, but I think they're right. Sachin has 3,205 more. So Root has scored, since COVID, 5,357 runs. He has played 55 tests and 106 innings in that time, to be fair. So England have played heaps of test cricket. So if he plays the same amount of games since COVID, he'll finish on 203 tests, which is obviously 3 more than Sachin. But like Sachin Tendulkar is genuinely in his sights, 3,000 more runs. That's a shitload of runs. He's got to play Babar Azam's career at the moment. 55 tests, averaging 43-ish. That'll probably get him close enough. 3,000 test runs to be the leading run scorer of all time. And the numbers for Root are unbelievable. Thoughts? Bit wishy-washy outside off stump.
Yeah. I don't watch cricket other than...
It's Joe, isn't it?
You just go to sniff him. you got to sniff him out here. No, I mean, he's. Yeah, I mean, every generation there's a guy who gets to the back end of their career and then just they just start knocking off the records, and that's what he's doing. I mean, he's just a fantastic player. I think the thing that is most ominous for Sachin and his fans is that like Root does not show any sign of aging. Like,
No.
they don't discuss any loss of faculty that comes with age that will come. He's another guy so coordinated, but he's so adept against pace, against spin. I mean, that's before you even go into his like white ball career, his one-day cricket career, where he's just been one of the greatest there as well.
Yeah.
So,
He's won everything. Has he won the
was he in
T20
that
World
team?
Cup?
I don't think he was in that team. Out here.
No, I don't think he was.
Yeah. But, I mean, he is an exceptional player. I mean, he's not done it out here, so it doesn't.
I've never seen it myself.
I've never seen it.
Just the numbers are quite
but
surprising.
You feel it's just so ungracious to say that when you're like 12K test runs, and yet
I've got to say,
it has
like,
to be said.
I'm not sure really. That doesn't matter. Like, just watching him now, he is actually a joy to watch. Like, he's how active he is at the crease.
Yep.
There's this ingenuity. There's an intent to score. It's not quite like when Smith was doing all of his thing. I wouldn't say it was glorious on the eye. Like he's obviously batting for you and the nation, so it makes you feel good. But like the way Root is going about it, it's mastery. It's complete mastery.
And he's. I mean, is he at the peak of his powers? I mean,
maybe.
Insofar as I don't know if people still talk about this, but I mean, almost the first 2/3 of his career was the blot on his copybook was not converting to enough hundreds and not winning games for his country.
Yeah,
and he's completely fixed that.
And
so,
then ever since he's been relinquished for the captaincy, he's turned his career around incredibly. Like obviously the burden weighed heavy. Well, you would think anyway. What happened? Anyway, they lost the second test, England, or Pakistan won it. The first win they've had at home in 12 tries.
And I thought that was a great deck by comparison.
I thought that was a good deck,
Pakistan worked something out there.
Turns out it was the same deck as the first test, 8 days apart, but I thought it was a good deck.
They
you know what?
Fans.
At least it was actually fucking watchable. I've just said how good it was to watch Joe at bat, but it was better. It actually was better.
Yeah.
So change of selection panel for Pakistan in between tests. Alim Dar's on that panel now. We should probably also talk about Dharmasena having Cologne out. Babar Azam dropped. Cameron Ghulam scored 118, replacing Babar Azam on test debut. That was impressive. Ben Duckett made 114. He's the fastest player to 2,000 test runs in terms of balls faced. To be fair, he did overtake Tim Southey. So, but a record nonetheless. Noman Ali took 8 for 46 in the second dig and 11 for the match. He wasn't man of the match, no, because Sajid Khan was with his 7 for 111, 22 and 2 for 93. And the third test starts on Thursday in Rawalpindi. So it's set up.
Dizzy to get a win there as well.
Yeah.
Pakistan cricket's been cooked for ages, and he's walked in there, and he would get the chop. Because that's just what happens.
That's what happens.
So he gets his win against England, and I hope they use the same deck again.
In a different city.
Yeah, that's right. Bring it over.
It's a drop in, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying.
That's how it works.
Stokes' dismissal was good as well.
Yeah,
that was just funny.
Yeah, it's just funny, yeah.
Just funny.
Threw his bat. Two Rawalpindi actually. Get to the head. Express. Okay, well, I think that's that series all wrapped up. We'll be back next week to see what happens in the final test match there. But England sort of got themselves back up the mix in the World Test Championship. They're still behind Sri Lanka in third, but they're fourth in the World Test Championship now. I think they have to win every game. I actually don't know what we would take. Does anyone fucking know? Does anyone know how the World Test Championship works? Or like forecasting?
A couple of people would know, but they have their own issues to deal with as well, psychosocially and whatnot.
Hey, let's have a chat to Brad Hodge.
Such a pleasure and very exciting to have one of Victoria's favourite sons sitting here with us, fresh from an appearance at the MCG following Sam Konstas' dismissal, as we go to where.
Which was missing.
Which was missing, we've all agreed.
I think the nation agrees it was missing.
Yeah. He arrives following his appearance a couple of years ago on The Great Cricketer, and is now one of our most frequently requested guests. And since then, he's become an author. It's Brad Hodge. Dodgeball, welcome.
Sam, Ian, thanks for having me. I like to be known as an artist, not an author. I think I've expanded. I'm grateful that all your listeners and fans see me as a regular or a wanted commodity. So thanks for having me. This is actually pretty cool. I've got a lot of respect for you guys. I love your product, and it's bloody good.
I love your rig, mate, because like have you been are you still shifting tin?
He's shifting tin.
I hope I'm not overstepping here.
No.
I'm just trying to get the energy going. But the last time when we did interview you, it was several years ago. Lots changed since then.
Yeah.
We actually she went past the dressing room later that afternoon at 7 headquarters, and you just happened to be taking your shirt off,
right?
And the chassis was just incredible, and it still looks really good. You're shifting tin.
What do you like about it? What's the
Just
highlight?
looks like the tin's being shifted.
Nah. Do you know what? I haven't actually pushed any tin.
Really?
Yeah, I run.
Natural. You're running.
Yeah. I run, but I got a dodgy knee. The meniscus is killing me, so I need to get that fixed. But to be truthful, when I actually push tin, because I've got quite a big chest.
Yes.
And I put it down to going to England when I was a youngster, playing grade cricket over there, or league cricket.
Yeah, league.
And I was pushing tin then and eating a truckload of chicken.
Right.
And I thought it was not to do with the tin that I was pushing, but the hormones that were jacked up in the chickens. Because on my research, the lifespan of a chicken's natural life over in England from birth to production, or whatever you want to call it, sliced its head off, was 14 days.
Right. Yeah.
And I thought,
in and out.
that can't be right.
Yeah.
And I thought, and anyway, so I'm cooking the stir fries with the chicken, and all of a sudden I was shifting tin, and my chest became very big, and then it put me to a space at Old Trafford in 2005, fielding down at fine leg after Michael Clark went off with a sore back, and there was these hooligans that were giving me a pile of shit on the ground, and they're horrible. As you know, you've been there; they're brutal.
I don't know what you mean.
So. And me and Hads and Tatey were on a sort of fitness campaign then as well, so I was pushing some tin so the chest would come back. Anyway, this dude's into me all day. Hodge this, Hodge that, you're no good, you can't even play, you're shit, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I give him a mouthful, as you do. After a while, you can only take so much. Anyway, this dude disappears. I'm like, good, I finally got rid of this guy, right? He's off. Anyway, he comes back an hour later with a blown-up kangaroo, life-size kangaroo, with a female bra strapped to this kangaroo with a couple of melons hanging out this bra, just screaming, "This is you, Hodge, this is you, Hodge." And it just, the whole crowd goes nuts, and I'm like 5'6", and I shrunk to about 2 inches. I'm like just crying at this moment, thinking, where the hell is Pup? I need to get off this field. And to this day, I've got to give this guy credit. I don't know where he went, whether he went into Manchester and found this shit and bought it. I have no idea.
He's left the ground.
He left the ground.
Yeah, he left. Correct.
To continue the joke.
And fair due to him.
Couple of stops as well. Kangaroo, bra, melons.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was dedicated.
He had a creative concept.
But he hit the mark. And ever since that moment, the tin's been off.
Right.
And the odd push-up here and there. Yeah. So, I went through a sort of a fitness challenge there for a while. But, yeah, look, from my point of view, you've sort of... There's a responsibility, I think, to sort of look after yourself a little bit as a past player, and if you can do so, great. But I'm not specifically into training or I love running just because it clears my mind every now and then. I get good clarity when I come home, and I think my undiagnosed ADHD wants me to get up and run there from time to time. So, but soon to be diagnosed. Let's find out.
Are you still a past player? Because at first time we spoke, you were playing for Sandringham, East Sandringham. East Sandringham, and you're wearing IPL lids, or just one lid.
Yeah.
And you were launching nuffies into the car park. Have you hung up the boots full time?
They're gone.
They're gone.
They're gone. And look, I kept getting asked, and so I gave all my equipment away. And then when someone asked me, said, can you come and play? I said, no, sorry, I can't. I've got no equipment. And then they'd throw it back onto me and say, well, you were sponsored by Kookaburra for the best part of 15 years. I'm sure you can hustle some gear up. And I'm like, no, I can't. I give that to my daughter. So it was just a real... I'm actually craving a bit of cricket, and I reached out to a few mates at Melbourne Cricket Club just last week around playing some 29ers games, just for that camaraderie, just for that mateship, because you sort of lose. The one thing I loved about East Sandy is that you're just playing with dudes who love cricket.
Yeah,
and every time I've
Which
been
is confusing, right?
That's
kind of odd.
And I'll explain that. What I mean to it is that everything that I've done in cricket has been of a professional sense. Like there's no professional sense in it. They want to do well. They're trying to be professional. But if you want to warm up, you warm up. If you don't, you sit in the dugouts and do nothing. That's cool. Mm-hmm. And then go out and peel off 100.
Do you find like this time of year as well, when like the days get a bit longer, post-daylight saving, a little bit warmer, like it's almost like part of your circadian rhythm? It's like cricket starts for me now.
The days get longer, don't they? Because you stay up watching cricket all night as well.
Yeah.
Don't know. I went to the Albert Cricket Ground on the weekend.
Because you're saying Melbourne, right? So because to those to the unsuspecting or the untrained ear of the listener, like when we refer to East Sandringham, that's like some wheelie bin shit, played on AstroTurf, and people really you really wonder what's going on. But when you say Melbourne Cricket Club, that's the level below state cricket,
cricket.
And quite a high profile club within the Melbourne scene as well.
It's just stepping stone. Now let's get back to the grade cricketer sense. We don't want to go that too high. So let's get back to where we are.
Get back into Melbourne Cricket Club, right?
Yeah,
so you still want to flex.
So there's still, it's like a fifth 11. It's fun, right? It's more grade cricket stuff. It's funny you mentioned about East Sandy and being that wheelie bin stuff. I hadn't played on like synthetic turf forever.
Yeah.
And when I came back, the first thing that someone said to me is, this wicket does a little bit and stuff like that. I'm thinking, what shit are you talking, man? It's synthetic grass. It does nothing. It's as flat as shit. Yeah. It was really funny. And then he goes, no, it just seems a little bit like with a new ball. And I'm like, okay. And then he sort of went into this in-depth conversation about if the local fire brigade don't come and hose the synthetic grass, then the little granules from footy get stuck in there.
Yeah.
And I'm
it's like decking around.
Just bit of grass in this wicket, literally.
And then the funny thing was, I'm like, anyway, it did nothing, right? It did nothing except it bounces higher than turf. But then I went to...
Was it okay to adjust to, or did it take a couple of
It was more the slowness of the bowling is the hardest thing. But then when I went to Brighton Union, which is on Nepean Highway, wow, they said this thing's the flattest wicket in the world you've ever seen. I'm like, well, it's the same colour and everything as the last one we just went to. How's it any different? But there actually is a difference. It's to do with how long the grass it's been there, whether it's a thick one. Mate, the science that goes in behind playing grade cricket is unbelievable.
And some of the bins they use for stumps, some of the big bins, other ones they use like sort of
Have you got
aluminium.
the recycling bin this week, or you got the green? You got the green waste this week, or just the garbage?
Yep. Look,
we got the red tops today.
It's funny, isn't it? It's funny. I just all this thing about grade cricket is great, particularly the things in England, like that league cricket, grade cricket thing. What happens over there is just insane.
Yeah.
See, I like it, because you're interchanging. You're just using the word grade cricket to talk about East Sandringham, we're talking and you're allowed to do that because you played for Australia. To you, everything underneath is just this strange world that you didn't even have to really participate in.
Just blokes having a go.
The guys like us, the saddest level of cricket where you actually are trying, but you're at the lowest level of people who are trying.
That's true.
That's Premier cricket.
That's true.
There is a big difference, but. Which is why I'm saying, like Melbourne Cricket Club, that is like, there are still people there who are trying, even in like fifth 11.
Yeah.
You can call it not like fun because you've made a double 100 for Australia. But the people, not to those people. No. And like when they turn up to play against you, that's one of the highlights of their career. Like, are you aware of that?
No, I'm not. I don't know about that's their highlight. They surely got better highlights.
No, because they'll pretend it's not. But they'll be hovering around you. They want to hear how you talk. And
look, at that level, people want to get you out. That's the one thing that you want to get out. And the thing is, you get out. Like, someone has to get you out in cricket. So that's one thing. I don't know about that. I've also wrestled in my own mind about whether I actually try something different and just try and bat left-handed for the season. I know you laugh at that, but it'll be hard, right?
Yeah.
It's challenging. So I'm thinking, well, can I flip it around and make it really difficult for myself and play like an absolute crab and see what happens?
So, and again, for those who are participating in that game, they'd be aware that you're a right-hand batsman. And so they sort of turn up for their Saturday. It's like, dodgeball's decided that
But I could
left-handed
say-
today.
left-handed.
And he made 74 red,
But I could say something like, well, I broke my left arm too often, so I'm scared of that.
Yeah.
So now I can try and get the
Yeah.
elbow up on the right
Natural
hand.
response.
I don't know. I've got to come up with something. Whether I enjoy that or not, who knows? I mean, I'm not sure anyone likes batting hard, do they? I don't know.
The other thing that would be a factor for you is like everyone would want to know just if you're a good bloke, like your behaviour, because that's what most people want to know with like
what's he like?
people in the public eye. They just want to know, is he a good bloke? Is he a bad bloke? People love it if you're a bad guy. People would love it. Be like, mate, he's such a cunt.
It's a good point. You go that. How do you? Yeah.
Like, what's your posture? Like, when you turn up at that kind of game, are you aware that people are going to be keen for yarns and like are you holding court when you're not
No,
batting?
you're there
Are you
for
telling
fun.
stories?
Yeah.
But are you like, I remember, like, are you going, I remember, when we played the Sackers at, at the MCG. And
They just want Warren stories, wouldn't
Yeah.
they? They want Warren stories.
I left the ground.
They
did
like
hot
all
hot
stories.
laps.
They like all stories, actually. Look, that's the camaraderie of cricket, and then just a lot of the other things is, well, what about your time? What do you do, or what do you love about cricket? So, look, I'd be really disappointed if I rolled up to a cricket game at 49 and someone thought I was a shit dude.
Yeah.
But
But a lot of judgments there, right? Like, what's he like as a bloke?
well, the competitive edge is gone. Like, you don't need to.
It's interesting. It's interesting you say
It's
that.
not gone, but you don't need to. You don't need to
Twist
show
your arm
anyone
on
on
that.
that field. You're not in competition with, I don't know, Damien Martin or
Yeah.
Simon Kadich or
Yeah.
anyone that you played against. And
Yeah.
there has to be that force of nature to say, well, we're here to compete.
I mean, you just said you just wanted to bat left-handed for a season, so
There's not a lot of. That's just me being competitive in myself to see if I could do it. But I think, could it be fun? Or here's the thing, and I've tried to think about this because I batted once left-handed over in England. The problem is people might critique you and say you're being a cockhead, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
okay,
what I want to be careful of.
yeah, that's true.
How'd you go?
Well, I got 21 batting left and then got the shits and batted right and finished with 82. I couldn't.
Oh, God, I'm frustrated. 21 not
fuck
out.
this,
Batting
yeah.
with my non-dominant hand. It's so annoying.
Well, I was batting so shit,
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to play a cover drive and it'd scab down
Like
to
you're actually
fine
getting
legs.
upset with yourself.
Yeah. There's this horrible technique, and I'm like, I can't put up with this anymore. I can't put up with it. Swapped around, and that was a time when I got sledged. Like that was like you're an idiot.
Yeah.
But I should have just run myself out.
The competitive juicing thing is interesting, I think, because some guys, like, they cross that line. It's like red mist, like they just can't remove themselves from like I've heard stories from guys that have played for Australia and they're still playing some club level cricket and they still like act so aggressively on the field, which to me sounds insane. But like, it seems like you moved past that in your life, like you just enjoy playing cricket and being around people that like cricket as opposed to the desire to like win every moment of every battle,
It's changed. I've seen that. I've seen a few of our ex-Australian players do that in the Legends League.
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
you believe it? Like,
yeah.
what are you doing? What have you got to prove? You're a gun for most of your life.
Yeah.
So they're the things. It's not actually. It's more the fun being out on the park with 10 other guys, and they're ultra competitive, right? So they want to win, and you want to win, but you want to do it in a fun, spirited manner. Like it's enjoyable coming back to grade cricket and playing, and the result doesn't mean anything. It doesn't break your heart. Like sometimes when you play for Australia or Victoria and you're desperate to do well, and you know that there's a selection somewhere around the corner which is going to determine whether your career goes forward or backwards, those sleepless nights, thank God they're long gone, and yeah, you don't really get that when you play for East Sand. You don't get there Friday night and go, geez, I'm worried about that dude from Elwood tomorrow.
yeah. Well, I was going to ask you about that. Like, did you ever lose a game for Australia?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Maybe a white ball game.
I'm sure we'd lost. Yeah,
Yeah.
or I lost.
Do you remember like the mood? Like, was it actually like that? Was it like life and death when you lost a game for Australia?
I don't actually remember being a part of many losing sides.
yeah.
I think I was in that 2005 Ashes touring party when they lost to
Yes.
England, but didn't partake on it. So it's probably a little bit of a different feeling.
Okay.
That was a brutal, like, to see everyone, you know, like, that was hard.
Everyone was flat.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that was a hard series. Everyone got beat up, and like they played really well, Australia, and England just played better. A great series, one of the best of all times.
Sure, yeah.
You did get to sing the team song.
Got to sing the team song. I was pretty good at running red and orange Powerade out to all the boys most times. Yeah, it was my job. It was a pretty good job, actually, when you think of it.
It's just like I had never written this question down about like you might have never lost the game for Australia, but like just thinking about how dominant the era was when you played in, and you were in the 2007 World Cup.
Yep.
That Australia won. You played.
They didn't lose. Did they?
You played 5 times, but you only batted twice.
This was
such was the dominance, and you got 100 in one of those games, right?
Oh, one of the best knocks. I can't believe this one didn't get into top knocks,
say.
actually. Yeah.
Anyway,
Everyone else failed against the mighty Netherlands.
against the Dutch, yeah. No, Hodge, yeah. So Ricky Ponting said after the tournament, he said, "We've dominated this tournament like no team has dominated the tournament before. We've never really been tested." I mean, tell us how good we were back then. Tell us how good we were.
It was a good side, wasn't it? Look, I remember the highlight for me in that 2007 World Cup was watching Sean Tate run in and steam in and nail a few of the minnow sides and then bringing it on to the big dogs later on. So there was one particular game in that series, and this is how good Australia was. They were worried about a group match against South Africa. I think it was at St Kitts. Anyway, they were talking about Sean Pollock and whoever else. And anyway, Haydos just sort of said, "Listen, boys, cut the talk. Fucking don't even think about strategy." I said, "I'll tell you what's going to happen. I'm going to give Sean Pollock one ball. Next ball, I'm going to walk down the track. I'm going to pop him out of the stadium into the river." And he said, after that, they're completely fucking Anyway, so we're sort of, well, okay, Doss, fucking put it away, mate. Put your chest away and stop talking shit.
Chest.
Anyway.
He had a lot of chickens.
He gets out there, and Sean Pollock lobs this one. Good length first ball. He just defends it. Next ball, as he does, sort of walks down, fucking drops it into the length, and he parks this thing out of the stadium. And we're like, just fucking hell, that's cool as that. He's actually done what he said he was going to do. And that moment, straight away, like, they just went out and smashed them, Australia. It was a pretty cool moment that it just sort of said, and this is why they were so good. Haydos just took it on his moment to go, no. Don't even think about Pollock as a danger today. I'm going to bury him, cut the head off the snake in 4 minutes of the game. And it was done like that. Brilliant.
I noticed you like refer to the team that you were in as they.
Yeah.
Like being sort of separate to it, rather than we. And if I could, maybe loosely join this together, you spoke on the Willow Talk podcast about this book as well, and you were, maybe to hear it in your own words, you actually consciously made a call in writing a book to make it about the others, and not you. Can you talk us through that?
Geez, you've hit there. You were very observant there, weren't you? Yeah, Sam, look, I suppose for me, yes, I played. And I couldn't entrench myself into that side for long enough. That's probably why I still see myself as a bit of an outsider. Had bits and pieces, but the reality was it wasn't a long time, or wasn't long enough in my place. They might see it differently, but it was also a tough group to infiltrate, and be close. Like, they were so close together for a long period of time. So when you come in, it takes time and energy and effort to be accepted as well. So there was a fair bit of time in that 2007 World Cup where everyone else had their family, on that trip, and for the best part of 10 weeks, I didn't. And there's a real sense of loneliness to that. There's a real sense of separation. No one asked me about it. No one dived into it. Certainly not the coaches or anything like that. But that's how you felt. That was real. And then the best part of the whole tour about being in Australia or with the Australian team was in India when you've got that you sort of locked into a hotel room, so to speak, and you just bond and the friendships grow that way. So I do refer to them as they, because they were probably successful for a long period of time without my input. I just had a little chapter here or there. I would have liked it to be us, but I'm not sure. Yeah, it's. I'll dive into the psychology of that at some stage, mate. But
you decided, right, to really. I think it would be easy to be, really embittered about that, and I think that there are a lot of people in Australia, probably particularly in Victoria, but with good reason, who are embittered on your behalf, about that because of how prolific you were. But I think it says something about your character that, in deciding to write or become an author or artist about cricket, you choose to celebrate other people's successes over the last 50 years. I mean, I'm reading the shit out of a book if you're just sledging everybody during your time, but you can write that one next.
But it's not helpful, is it? Like, to be honest, if you wrote an autobiography about myself, there's a fair bit of pain in there, actually. Like, it just... I've got to be grateful for what I've achieved. I'm really happy for what I've done in cricket, across all three forms. But there's a few chapters that are unfulfilled. Like I played 6 tests. I wanted to play 50. I played 31 days and batted probably fucking 10 times. I wanted to bat 100 times. And in that, there's a sense of loss or selection. There's a whole raft of things where, if you really dive into it, even talking about that 2007 experience, like, we won, but for me personally, like, it wasn't a super experience. There was a lot of loneliness and separation. Sean Tate went away from that tour with a form of depression for that particular reason. I sat with Sean, we chatted. He was lost halfway through the tour, lonely. So I said to him, "Fly your brother over, mate." So 2 days later, his brother flies over. He just needed to be with someone that was close to him. Why? Because we were witnessing it in front of us from everyone else. You go back, there's a lot of history that you can unpack, and you can find a lot of negatives within the positive, right? So, and within that as well, there's a lot of people who you probably critique about how they acted around you as well. You talk about fitting into an environment. Their observation of you have a retort to that as well. How you might perceive them. So I didn't think it's a good idea. I have good relationships with everyone I play with. I could have nailed the coaching staff, big style, in an autobiography. I sit a little bit with Warnie on this one. I don't want to go into it, and I don't want to go into the relationship side of it, but there was none. Plain and simple, there was never a relationship with the coaching staff and myself. None whatsoever. So I look back on my history and go, what a fucking shit chapter that would be. It'd be fun to read, be good to tell, but there's a lot of hurt when you digest it and go, fuck, maybe a little bit of help there would have been nice. But it didn't come. So what did I do? Sammy, let's I said, I want to do something about others. And that's what I've come up with, and it's actually pretty cool. It's been good.
I noticed. So the book is Top Knocks, and it's the top 50 knocks from Australia.
Top 20, 50
Sorry,
years.
mate. Sorry, from 50 years. Sorry, top 20 knocks from 50 for the last 50 years, all formats, men and women. And one thing that sticks out to me with it, I mean, any of these lists are just going to, create differences of opinion, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Is the reasons behind why a knock becomes top. And I noticed I'm not, I won't give away the list here, but that's probably the most interesting part of the book, is that why you think something, what makes a good knock. And so often it's you provide insights into what was going on for that player at the time, you know, in a way that the public doesn't really see. We might just see someone Bosh England around or
Yeah.
whatever and go, that was great. I don't know if it's a top 20, you know, but then when you lift the lid a bit on, you know, what's going on for them or in other knocks, you know, circumstances or their, you know, upbringing or whatever, it really illuminates and provides some depth, you know, to why that's a good knock.
Is that the backstory is the best part of it, and the reason being that I wanted to sort of bring that to light as well. It probably goes on to the back of my own performance at the MCG in the Boxing Day Test, where it was so clouded by external things and everything else that it was a complete failure. It was a mess. Didn't perform the way I wanted it to. There was 80,000 people that I couldn't settle. There was just a raft of things why it didn't work well, and that was coming off 200. So I thought about, what makes these things really special? How do you play under such duress and perform to such brilliance? And the one thing is that I was grateful for all these athletes and friends, is that they probably opened up to me personally a little bit more than they would have done to the normal journalist.
Because you interview each player,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So everyone that I could, so there was only Andrew Simons and Dino that I couldn't. And then I got Jimmy Marr to talk about Andrew Simons and things like that, and spoke to other people about Dino. So each person I sort of interviewed for an hour and a half maybe. And as you two would know, the hardest thing is to get a commitment. It's like, I'm doing this thing, and you see the little text with the blue ticks and then nothing back. And you're like, okay, you've read it.
I mean, the worst is when you see like you've got like 14 yellow backgrounded messages and just like no reply, or maybe just one or whatever. So,
but that process was awesome. And look, in the book there's some really amazing backstories about, there's some that are challenging, like Steve Smith coming off a year's ban and things like that. Like, how tough that is to be able to come through that mentally and deliver 150, you know, things like that. Brad Haddon, there's all sorts of things. Even Steve Waugh himself talking about his performance, about how it was just a mental battle against the West Indies all through that period, and something had to happen. Like, you had to pull out something different. So, look, there's all those backstories are great. I tried I don't know what you guys think of this, but I really tried to challenge the reader's thought process on T20 cricket, what's great versus Test match cricket and one-day cricket.
Yep.
Because I sort of pin it, and this is just
because
my
there's
own...
a few surprises in there, right? It's not just the highest aggregate scores in Test matches.
Yeah,
you know,
there is.
There are some really there's some quick short knocks. There's some red ball knocks that aren't necessarily hundreds.
Yeah, so one of the most controversial, it's in there, we'll tell it, it's Matty Wade's 40 in the 40 not out in the semi-final in the T20 World Cup. And that's the point. No one's actually picked up the book and goes, none of these deserve to be here. And then when I sort of talk about that, even Matty himself, the stresses and pressures that he was under when he's sitting there waiting to bat, through my own T20 experience, it's horrible. It's a nightmare when you're seeing what's unfolding in front of your eyes and you're like, shit, this is getting out of hand here. I can't do this. And even in his own mind, he's like, I can't do it. And then until Marcus Stoinis hit this 6, it's like, shit, I actually think that I can do it. So even in his own mind, it flipped from pure negativity to positivity. So yeah, that's a real interesting one, and people that have batted in T20 cricket down the lower end of the ladder or the order, anywhere from 5 through to 8, will know how tough it is. And it's like the reverse of Test match cricket. Like, opening the batting in Test match cricket is hard. Batting a little bit, 5 and 6 is a little bit easier. It's actually the opposite in T20 cricket. So, yeah, they're the sort of things that I wanted to challenge the reader on, or anyone in, even sitting in a pub. Go, oh yeah, shit, I never thought of it like that. So that's sort of how I wanted to challenge it. And the knocks that, Finchie's knock, for example, in T20 cricket, 156. That's the highest individual score the world's ever seen and probably will ever see. So how's that relate to Brian Lara's 400 in Test match cricket? Like, it's pretty equal, right? When you break it down. So, yeah, look, I think that was what I wanted to do, and I think I've sort of hit the mark there. I'm still a traditionalist, and probably lend itself to the test match is still the hardest thing to nail. But, yeah, interesting.
You obviously got Glenn Maxwell on the cover. Just sort of relating this with your own career and stuff, but like, can you see a world where Glenn Maxwell played 80 tests for Australia?
There's a world that can happen, yeah. And I saw him in the nets last week, actually. We played the second 11,
in
right?
the nets, yeah.
So,
He got bounced out twice in the second 11 game.
well, I chatted to him about it after. And look, with all due respect, when you're thinking of playing for Australia, you know it's going to be a higher level. Right. And when you're playing second 11, then there's a fair gap mentally, right? You're going to get bounced out because you're probably not 100% committed to going out there and going, I need to get 200 in the second 11 match today because I'm going to play in Sri Lanka in 3 months' time.
Yeah.
It's like you're good enough. You're just mentally not quite there. So that's interesting. Could he play? He still might play 80 tests. You never know. If he gets back in Sri Lanka and then brains it and becomes this awesome number 6 or 7, who knows? But there's a few players a little bit not as magnificent as Maxi that, could play that role.
Yeah.
Like, someone like Jake Fraser McGurk could potentially play 80 tests if it wants to roll that way. Yeah, definitely.
And you're going toe-to-toe with Maxi this summer on book sales.
Yeah.
He's got one coming out as well, but you've probably beaten him to the punch on a photo of him for your book.
Yeah, I got in trouble for that, actually. Maxi's management team weren't too happy because that's the image that they were going to use.
Well,
and now they've got to use one of you on his book.
It should be confusing for his book, but
I don't even know if I've got into Maxi's book, and that's what I can say. I can say, well, fuck, give us a break, Maxi. At least I'll put you in my book.
Happy to profile you on this,
That's
Maxi.
right.
You scratch my back.
Yeah. That's right. We're good mates, so it's
his book's called Dodgeball. So
there you go.
What I learned from Brad Hodge early years.
Don't know. Look, I'm not a massive autobiography person. I don't get it, to be honest. But it's a methodology. And the other thing is as well, if you're going to write a book, do it yourself. So authors or artists like myself, we deliver a book. We're going to deliver a book, not get some shadow writer to come out there and you might as well come in and talk for 4 hours on this podcast and tell him his life story. Yeah. Do that.
So
anyway, good luck to him.
You penned it. You
it was hard actually. It was a lot. It was challenging. Like it's very time consuming. The worst part of it was finishing it off and then going and reading it again. It's like I'm so tired from getting this
and
done.
You can't see the words after you write.
Mate,
you're too close to them.
Yeah.
Each chapter's sort of somewhere around 3,000, 4,000 words. And I'm like, got to the end of the book. I'm like, oh shit, do I have to go and read this again? It's like, no, sorry, no. Google, give us a spelling and grammar check, done, proofread, done. So but I'm pretty proud of it. It was a lot more effort than I thought. I got to about 16 chapters and thought, I've had enough. I'm going to pack it in. It's too hard. And that's sort of how I felt. I really smashed out the first 10 or 12.
Yeah.
And then the last one's like, this dude won't get back to me. Let's just forget it. Done.
Yeah.
Anyway.
How long did it take to get Tugger to sit down with you? I imagine that's a hard man to pin down.
You're on the mark there. I don't know. Have you got some inside word?
I do actually have some inside word,
Tugger was sort of 9 months.
9 months?
Yeah. Like, I got a lot of respect for Tugger, but he was probably the reason we missed the Father's Day special, So he's probably cost me a couple of bucks.
Tugger offering you again.
So he was like, I really had to push him in the end. I just
said
to
push Steve.
No, it's hard. Brutally hard. And in the end, it was more like, I wasn't hard. It was more like giving him a little tickle on the nutsack. It was like
what I wouldn't give.
It's like, Tugger, with all due respect, mate, you're going to be in the top 3. And I'm going to tickle your ball bag for an hour and a half and tell you how good you are. You probably already know how good you are.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it a little bit more. And so anyway, he's like, okay, well, tell me what the book's about again. So I had to tell him again because he'd forgotten. Like I only asked him 8 times over 9 months, but and that's the way Tugger was. And it was an awesome chat too because I had sort of 3 knocks pinned down. One was the special day in Sydney, that fairy tale 100 in the 100th test. There was a knock against England in Old Trafford, I think, where he got 150 in a test match when Australia were up against it, then got 100 in the second, and this knock in the West Indies. And then he sort of guided me actually towards which one he wanted. He sort of said...
That's cool. So players would also give you a sense of what they regard as the best. Yeah,
so Michael Clark's in there. He thought his 329 was his best.
Yeah, right.
And I sort of went against it, and in the end he goes, "Oh yeah, cool, yeah, I get that." Like it was that each player would have 3 knocks in there. Wouldn't that be great?
Oh,
you know,
really
just
would.
to have 3 knocks. You run through the list. Oh, you've made 32
three
centuries. Yeah, I can't remember 28 of them. I can only really remember 4 of them. Okay, cool. Well, lucky I got those 4 written down. You know, you go, so most players were like that, and so that I was sort of always on the mark about their top 2, and they were the same. They go these performances really stuck with me for this particular reason or this particular memory, and so it wasn't like no, you're way off the mark there. It's like it's either this one or that one, and I sort of prefer this one, but that one's not wrong either. So
both pretty good.
Yeah, and I said that's what I mean. I'm here to tickle your nuts. They're both amazing. Lucky for you.
I mean, Joe Root must feel like that at the moment. The amount of centuries he's hit in the last couple of years, he would have forgotten plenty.
He would have forgotten plenty, wouldn't he?
How good's he going? Like he's figured it out.
Who knows? Man? Maybe he'll have a grinding one back in the young day.
Yeah.
And then he'll have a Bazball one, I reckon, that's his favourite as well. Yeah. So, there's a bit of criteria that went into it. You know, did Australia win? Was against a good opposition? Did they win the series? Was a World Cup match? There was a fair bit that had to go into it. It was so hard. And it's probably a little bit lenient towards the sort of younger generation than the old, only because footage was actually hard to get as well. So
did you watch each innings ball by ball?
If I could, not ball by ball, but break it down, highlights, and if I could watch it ball by ball, yes. But again, that's time consuming as well.
Did you watch some innings and go flat?
Jeez, he was lucky.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Why does this get such a good rap?
Well,
couldn't see it.
To be brutally honest, the Dean Jones one in Madras. That was flat. Mark Taylor even said himself, it was flat.
Was it Rawalpindi?
Yeah.
But Show was going offies by the end.
Well, however, that's the thing. But then when you look at it and you watch the first spells that Tubby had to get through, you go, shit, man, that's serious pace. And then to get 334, it's like, there's a special nature to that.
That's good.
But even he said, it was a flat wicket. I'm like, well, yep, it was, but not many people got 334.
No.
So,
I'm curious, Hodgie, if it's okay to go back to that, relationship you have with your own career and, your relationship with the team from your era.
Fuck, you guys are meant to be funny, not brutal. Come on.
Because I note that you did some work with Ronnie and the Aussie men's team in the most recent World Cup.
Yeah.
And do you get the sense that much has changed around people's relationship with coaches and, how the guys, I suppose, have get on with people in leadership positions and stuff, or is it still just cricket?
No, it's changed dramatically, I'd say. Yeah, it was really good. So I spent time with the Australian team in South Africa leading into the 50-over World Cup, and then with Ronnie in the World Cup, and then going to be with them in against Pakistan in a week's time. So that's been really fun, really enjoyable.
How do you compare the sheds and tubbing?
Well, you actually played in some of those games.
Yeah, because you're also a player.
you played in the World Cup warm-up games.
Yeah, that's true. That was a scary moment. I think the personnel of persons changed as well. Yeah. Like, I don't think there's a Shane Warne in the dressing room and these outlandish characters. There's Adam Zampa, but he's not Shane Warne. He's Zampa. Yeah, he's Zamps. Yeah. So there's all these different personalities. I'd say that the coaching group of McDonald, Divenuto, Borovic, and Vittoria are extremely well connected to the playing group. That certainly wasn't what I witnessed or saw from my own personal experiences in 2005, 2006, 2007. It was very much pushed towards the senior management, senior players. And if you weren't... There was a famous quote given to me by a coach. He said, "You're either in or you're out. And at the moment, you're out. So you wasted time." Okay, well, that's good. That's good to know. And I was just only after an extra hit. You know, that shit just doesn't happen in this environment. It's a great coaching staff. The players are fantastic. And they're great people. Like, I can't value how good it's been to come back into to Australian cricket and really love it and really enjoy it and sink my teeth into it and be around good dudes. It's been fun.
I could just be like making a loose connection here, but it always strikes me that like players who are just absolute, like who are, you know, like weapons grade prolific at first class level and would have played, you know, a ton of international cricket were it not for a great generation.
Yeah.
They so often make really compelling contributions to international cricket after their career, like whether it's commentary or coaching, and maybe it's because they understand how difficult or brutal cricket can be from their own experience, you know? And I look at like Ronnie's just he's just so respected by the players. There's so many great like commentators out there who bring way better insights than like the greats do, because like it's almost like the greats don't even realise how good they were at stuff or appreciate it. And maybe you know, you just seem to have quite a philosophical take on the game. You want to enjoy it at a playing level as well. So all those experiences have like probably left you wiser.
Hope so. I think you can be sympathetic too, that, you know, some people might find it a little bit harder than others. And there's people in that group that are at different stages in their career. So, you know, one of the things which I always remember was, well, you know, one of the great things that I had was the likes of Matt Short and Fraser McGurk on these tours and stuff like that, and Hardy and all these young guys that are experiencing the journey that I once felt, you know, coming up, and then you're like, well, how do you help these guys get to more than what I achieved, and how do I help Ronnie do that, or how do you help Diva do that, or Bor or Dan or whoever it is? It's like, hey, what can I bring to the table that helps contribute? So it's been great. I really enjoyed the friendship and camaraderie that Paddy brings, along with Mitch Marsh, who are the two leaders that I've seen. I haven't been in the test environment, but in that one day and T20 group, outstanding, mate. It's just fun to be around these good people.
What do you reckon about the upcoming summer? I mean, who have you got opening the batting? Just call it now, even though guys have plenty more innings left.
I just come from the MCG, as you said, and the youngster from New South Wales got given out LB. Looked out to the naked eye, but if you were Shane Watson, you would have gone upstairs for sure. It looked like he was just going down leg side, but Scotty Bowen targets the stumps. He's a hard customer on that, isn't he? Marcus Harris, Cameron Bancroft, Matty Renshaw. Don't forget Nick Maddinson either. Yeah. So there's a few candidates putting their hand up. Who would I say is going to get the job at the moment? Actually, I don't know. I tried to extract it out of Ronnie just before, but I think they're very much in the still undecided, I'd say. I think they've got their handle on who they would like it to be. But again, they're just ticking all the T's and crossing the I's to make sure they get the right decision.
We were talking before about like for Australia to lose a series at home basically in the last sort of 30 years or whatever, it's sort of meant like what the touring team is very, very strong.
Yep.
And Australia's in some sort of crisis really, like like the last or when India won here the first time, the sort of post sandpaper.
Yeah.
South Africa won here 2016, 17. The entire team just about changed between test matches.
Yep.
Like can you see India's coming here very strong, aging Australian side? Like can you think could it be alarming for Australia?
Where's the first test again?
Perth.
Well, maybe if we don't start at Adelaide, then we're off to a good start. Right? That's playing into the opposition's hands if I've ever seen it. So, Brisbane, most teams come out here,
Yeah.
cop an ass whipping, and you're one up, aren't you? So, if you can start the process somewhere at a difficult venue like Perth or Brisbane,
They started playing Brisbane like post Christmas. It's too flat.
too flat.
That was the
It's
issue.
hard
That
now.
was the issue. Yeah.
Yeah, is that right? Well,
It's too
Well, no, I'm just saying we've got excuses. So
We got
first time
excuses.
around, Warner Smith, sandpaper stuff, they weren't there.
Yeah.
That's why we lost. Next time around, Brisbane played at the wrong time.
Yeah.
JL stuff.
JL
and the
stuff,
guys,
yeah.
all no good.
No good.
Hoff's back. No one talks about it. No
Yep.
good. This time around, no excuses. I mean, Smith's batting where he's decided he wants to bat again.
no excuses. You'd probably have Cameron Green in that side, so you've lost a little bit of firepower with the ball. Is the Bison going to be up and running with how many
It's creaky.
overs?
creaky.
Yeah, it is.
Was his
Usman's-
38?
Didn't have a great summer last year.
But hey, Marnus has been in the wickets lately, so
Most guys say-
another little string to the
Yeah.
Aussies'
Yeah.
bow. We've got a leg spinner in there to partner with the goat. So
Well, he bowls seam up the other
with a straight hit.
He bowls bumpers.
Yeah.
he's ticking the boxes. It's got no excuses. Correct. This is a big event, right?
Yeah.
India and Ashes next year. This is what you play for. So they're a good side, India. But I think Australia will get the handle on them this year. I think they're going to be well prepared. I think they have got an ageing side, but I think the bowling attack is still very, very dangerous and good.
Hey, Dodgeball, Brad Hodge, so great to have you. If anyone wants this book, it's Brad Hodge's top knocks, and I think as we have pretty much outlined it, it's a deeper perspective on what makes a knock great, and the stories that happen in and behind that. So, thanks for coming in and sharing a little bit of that. Sorry if the comedy wasn't as high level as you wanted it to be, but it looks like we've all evolved.
At least you didn't call it a stocking filler, which a few people have called it, my good friends. So I'm like, well, I don't give a shit. If someone pays good money
right.
to stick it in the stocking,
Numbers in the bank
that's
account,
cool.
mate. Move on.
100%.
You're an author and an artist now, Dodgeball.
Yeah.
So we're all.
I need a
we're all
creative
evolving.
space like this. This
Yeah.
is what I need. Eh?
Exactly.
Maybe I could park out in that dungeon out
in
there.
front of the Travis Head mural.
Yep. Where's the-
and we'll bring some tin and you can shift it as well
I
because
like
the
it.
chess
Done.
is looking great without it.
Needs to be a
Anyway,
bit bigger, doesn't it?
Brad Hodge, thanks so much.
Sam, Ian, thanks for having me.
Hey, great to talk to Hodgie.
Yeah,
Dodgeball. Hey, Hodgie. Ask TGC, brought to you by Smith Optics Australia. Haven't Smith Optics been good to us, and haven't they been good to the listener, to the viewer, to the customer, and to the pay pig? SmithOpticsAustralia.com. Use the code FAST for 25% off your order, plus a free TGC cloth as a gift.
Now we're talking.
Okay, so we're just talking sunglasses here. Use the code FAST at SmithOpticsAustralia.com. Don't waste a moment. Now is the time to get your shades on.
25%.
Get it. Plus a free TGC cloth in the packaging. Sorry for all the value. Okay, we've been talking about the Chroma Pulp, we've been talking about the Frame Tech, we've been talking about the Field Collection. I'm going to go to the Field Collection today, Pezza, because that's what Pat Cummings is wearing. He's wearing the Vert and some Wildcat at SmithOpticsAustralia.com. You can go to the collections there, the Field Sports.
I bet he is.
Vert and Wildcat. This year, we'll also add the Motive. Hopefully, the rest of the team will be wearing Motive and Vert. Now, we've seen many of the players been wearing Smith.
Well, Cummo started.
He has started, and he's been circulating around the group, around the squad, which we like to see. There's also the Bobcat. That's a smaller style, i.e. a smaller fit for your women or your smaller heads.
Andrew Ryan.
Don't be confused about what this brand is and what it is not.
Yes.
This is Smith Optics Australia, okay? How many times do we need to say
I
it?
wonder how many times they've
Every week.
they've approached Steve Smith. Like, I mean, it's very obvious.
Yeah.
It's an obvious one. But he must just be like, no, I've got the lenses that I'd like. And fair play to him.
Oh, I'm doing oat milk.
Yeah.
I put bottle caps on my head.
I'm busy lobbying about 4 again. Bottle caps on me.
And then saying it's good for the team. Stop wearing other dog shit brands, okay?
Yes.
Stop wearing the dog shit. Smith is the best.
Yeah.
It's the best
It's
gear.
leading. It's a leading.
If Pat Cummings,
Yes.
that's how I'm going to say it now for the rest of the summer.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone else is doing it, is wearing that. He's the fashionista of Australian, not just cricket, the Australian summer, Pat Cummins, okay?
Yeah.
He's wearing
Actually,
Smith.
You're actually insulting him by considering other brands.
You might as well
He
be
won't-
burning coal.
He won't say that, but no, behind closed doors, he's thinking it.
Captain Planet, Captain Eyeballs.
What's that?
I don't know. I'm hearing things now. Anyway, smithopticsaustralia.com. Use the code FAST. 25% off. Free TGC cloth. Ask TGC, Pezza.
They bring us AskTGC. We got a couple coming in. We're going to do some short, sharp ones. Two Flutes writes in and says, Chad Warner, West Coast Eagles when?
Oh, yeah, two flutes.
He goes, well, I mean, you know.
Well, he's been seen dining in Perth.
Yeah.
But
where
I'm
he's from.
Yes, I'm off the football because
Because of the always trade situation.
yeah, just some of the trades have been lining up for me.
I can't believe what Richmond did or whatever.
Hasn't trade week turned into trade season?
They do well. It's
do well.
I don't know who it's more a comment on, but it's sick.
It's actually
it's sick.
Yeah.
Cricket Australia must respect it because there's like
Yeah.
can't go toe to toe with trades.
Hey guys, Cameron Gray's having serious back surgery. Warner's been having dinner in Perth. Chad Warner, that is.
DB, which I've shortened,
No,
says,
DB.
what will be the disparity in views on TGC YouTube daily reviews depending on how day's play goes vis-a-vis India going well or not that day in the tests? Form, sentence, how to.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
what is good at least is that the audio, which no one can see, is fairly consistent every single day. But because people can only see one number, it's like, oh, that's your entire stream. That's your entire.
I think it goes
audience.
further than just TGC. I mean, like at this point, I don't think it's like controversial to say that, you know, when India wins, anybody involved in the cricket economy wins,
including Australia,
including Australians who have content on YouTube,
including the team that they're beating.
Yeah,
it's good for them as well.
that's right. And it's not good for them if they beat India.
No good. You see some of the celebrations from the Kiwis after winning the game. It's just very respectful. It's a famous win. First time they've won there in like 40 years.
Exactly.
Very calm, demure.
Yeah.
Now that's skeleton stuff partially, but also like I don't want to over celebrate lest I lose, serious
Well,
bunts
there's-
down the track.
you know, there's a lot of, I don't know if retentions for the IPL have been decided, but if you're Gautam Gambhir
Yes.
at Kolkata and say, I don't know, Starkey, he's starting to bowl well, isn't Gambhir, or isn't he sending a message out just going like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Like surely you're using IPL
Are you doing
content.
that, are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Heavy Peace says, is it pronounced Nisa with the S, said like a slippery little snake, or is it Neza, like geezer with an N? Won't matter once the international fixtures start, but handy to know if I ever bump into him.
I've always been off the idea of Neza. That's
Yeah. It's a difficult one, though, because even when you ask players their names, like Marnus Labuschagne,
Yes.
that's only part of the answer of what you call them.
Yes, that's right.
That's not necessarily what you end up with.
I've always gone with Nisa, but then again, I've never known how to say data or data. So
That's a tomato one. Though,
or Kim Basinger. Basinger.
Okay. He goes right tricep says, will we see Pup on the pod this summer?
Open invitation. Yeah,
So, let him know.
It's only
He's
for about,
very welcome.
Tell me for about young blood. Like in that when Michael Clark came into that side, he was like 23 or something.
Yeah.
But he was called
in the test side, yeah.
in the test side, yeah. But he was just called Pup.
And he still is.
Yeah, he's
so
a pup.
he'll always feel like young blood in a way.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's mostly the Botox, but
Yeah, well, anyway, if anyone knows, he's very welcome on the show. We've had others on the show that we have used for comedic musing. doing live shows. So someone like a James Hollingworth says, why is my girlfriend having dreams in which I'm my 7-year-old son's manager and pacing around her kitchen trying to find him a new club? And is that in like a football sense, like transfer window stuff?
Yeah.
Or cricket,
Well, I don't know why he's doing that.
Yeah, like trying to find him a new club. Like, how hard is it to find the club?
Yeah. So,
Is he calling him up looking for offers and stuff? Is $1 a run?
I've always liked preparing a bid.
Yeah,
They're preparing a bid. Yeah.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Yeah. Like if I know. Okay. Another question. Now, this is from Piss Matt. He says, "Why? Why did I play threes aged 13, then have an old fat dump truck of a bloke ask me if I was old enough to play with myself while I was taking guard?
Oh my God.
Why does it still rattle me 20 years later? I can't answer that.
God.
I mean, why does it still rattle you? That's a very rational response, I would have thought, because you've grown older and understood that. In context, that comment from an adult to a child is really concerning in terms of that man's.
If I was playing
mind.
If I was playing on the side of the guy that asked that, I would have to move clubs. I was a young kid coming to the crease. I wonder if he masturbates.
Yeah. So the kids come out to bat or whatever. It's like, man, are you old enough to play with yourself? Fucking hell. Like what club is abiding that?
Yeah.
It's just and just
settle down, Dave.
So the thing is, Piss Matt might be referring to the Australia 19s.
Good point.
Okay, a couple more. I say, look, I'm not saying who this is from, and I'm actually calling this is a whisper. This is more of a club whisper.
Oh, whispers.
I'm gonna try and
There's been whispers.
Yeah, this is a club whisper. So and it starts with, all right, shaggers. Got a bloke who is 15. He's playing ones.
Yeah.
Right. And I think he means like adults.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not going to say where. This is just a whisper. This is an allegation. This 15-year-old's been banned for 2 weeks after his community under 15s grand final, where he told all his players to drop the ball and not get the batsman out to win the game. Got done for match fixing.
Well, I've got some personal experience with this. Our patrons will know. I've told the story before. I think it was under 10s-ish. And at that time in that level of cricket, just below state.
There used to be quite a pronounced pyramid system.
It was 10s, New South Wales,
That's right.
Aussies.
Yeah, that's a promise.
And you retired at 30, and then you came back in whilst everyone else was sorry, not out. Yeah. Super was good then. So you retired at 30, not out. Then you came back in when the last batsman was dismissed, and then that's how it worked. So they had a good player, like a rep player maybe, and he got his 30, and then he got out. So then he retired. So then the lesser quality players were batting. The dregs came in, and the last pair was batting, and I forget how many runs we needed to win, but basically it was not good for us if we got their batter out to bring in their fucking future international player come in. So ball hit straight up in the air to me, and I cupped it in my hands. I think it was a mid wicket, and I just tilted my fingers towards the ground and then dropped the ball on purpose. So therefore, the batter was not out, and then he remained in.
Yeah.
Their good player never came in. We won the game. You know what that is? That's fucking smart.
Yeah.
That's street smarts. You know why? Because I'm a fucking winner.
And
I got in trouble on the way home.
Yeah.
I cried.
Weren't you castigated by your mother in the car?
I was, yeah. So traumatized by that, yeah. She was saying why'd you do that? Like, people are talking about taking you to the judiciary. I was like, I'm 10.
Do they have suits for that?
Tom Morris outside.
You could have organised good. You could have organised good representation as well. Silk. Turning up to under 10s judiciary.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tommy Morris outside.
Yeah.
Anything to say?
Yeah.
Just a question on that. When you tilted the hands to drop the ball.
Yes.
All right, a couple of things. Like, one, had you issued an instruction to the rest of the team to do that? Like, hey guys, the best thing to do.
I think I did.
Yeah, and then secondly, so you led by example. Then secondly, when you dropped it, did you do it somewhat theatrically so everyone knew that you could have caught it? Or did you do your best to make a meal of it and
No.
try and hide the foul play?
I can't even begin to describe how much of a lollipop this was. Like it literally like if I was throwing.
It's possible no one's ever mentioned this, I'm sorry, because we've talked about this a few times. Is it possible that the batter, who we're basically saying has never played cricket before,
Yeah.
is it possible they were engaging in gamesmanship too,
Yeah.
to get themselves out to bring the good player in?
Possibly.
No, and would you have said that at the judiciary?
Well, if he had anything about him, he would have turned around and smacked his stumps over. Next ball.
Kick him over.
Kick him over. You fucking cheat.
Anyway, and I think this other bloke who got done, he's that's unfair. So, and then finally, this is from Copping a Thumper, says, I think I need a brain scan to figure out what the fuck happens between training and game day. Everything at training feels good, looks good, and I feel like I can play. But then the second I take the crease on a Saturday, it's like I'm holding a wet noodle trying to hit a ball bearing. And then it says, ... Is anyone looking into this? Am I just a scared little cuck? Should I buy some Rogaine hair growing cream and smear it on my forearms?
To regrow the hair that once was on the
Right,
forearms,
also
but
just forearm hair.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well,
Alopecia of the forearm.
I have this. I think many people would have this maybe with golf. On the range, smoke them on the range, get out there, no good. Now in cricket, I was like completely opposite. I was awful in the
Right.
nets. I was shocking trainer.
Yep.
Hated the nets. Couldn't see the ball.
Yep.
Like the walls seemed to like be closing in on me, James Bond style.
Oh, yeah.
In the nets, hated the dog shit decks, dark balls, 15-yard bowlers. Like all the greats play the hits. But and then come Saturday, mate, Bradman walked out. No, like I was just terrible trainer, terrible.
Well, like in terms of solutions, right? I was the opposite of that, like especially bowling leg spin, and wouldn't be the first leg spinner. It's just unbelievable in the nets, and then just goes to water in a game. But we were discussing this the other day, and like one of the good things about the nets is like because there's nets there, you're just focused on the batter at the other end. You can't see the fielders, and the ball doesn't travel really far. When you get hit, it just goes into a net, so you can't see the results of your pain. You can't hear that, like just watch the arc of the ball and your dreams disappear with it. So one way to maybe stay within that sort of net narrow focus while you play a game is to wear horse blinkers while you bowl. So I'm wondering if there's a solution there for spinners in particular, if perhaps as a child I could have recreated, or even an adult, when it really got bad, recreated the safety of the nets by simply wearing the blinkers that horses wear while I bowl. So effectively, all I can see is the net because I'm
that's
focused
right.
straight down the it doesn't matter what happens in my peripherals.
Yes.
I can see the batter. I'm in the nets and I'm wearing horse blinkers like Saintly in '96.
What a great way to finish the show. The first one back of the summer. You know what? We're running all through the summer. Get behind us on Patreon. If you want to join us there, patreon.com/Grey Cricketer. Our live show tickets, they're selling out quickly. greycricketer.com if you want to join us. Greg Ballard in Adelaide, Stoinis, Agar, Perth, Matthew Hayden in Brisbane, Ponting in Sydney, Finchy in Melbourne. So much to come. We're going to be back here with the podcast, of course, on Monday. But perhaps if... Maybe we'll see you. Maybe we'll see you before.
Might see you before.
Maybe we'll see you before. Maybe we won't. Guess we'll see what happens. See you later.